Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody, to a special Thanksgiving episode, doubleheader, whatever you want to call it, of Orange Card, Blue Card. I am Sam Tate. You all recognize me, but I'm joined by a very special guest. I'm joined by Gene, who is reporting in from the local metagame for Puerto Rico. Thanks for joining us. Oh, you got the camera coming on in the truck.
There we go. Hello, people. Hello, My Hero Academia fans and everybody that plays the TCG. It's an honor to be here.
You reached out to me about a week ago and wanted to kind of put a little spotlight on your community. I for sure didn't know that there was players in Puerto Rico, so it's really cool to hear the game is taking off out there.
It is. We started as two people, me and my friend, and then we start growing up the community. We are 28 players here in Puerto Rico.
Wow, 28. That's as big as a local as I've heard of. Do you guys have like a really good character diversity out there?
Nomu, number one here, baby.
Is a lot of people playing Nomu?
I'm the only Nomu player. Thanks to my friend, good friend, the one I forgot his name. Shout out later on. He gave me his Nomu recipe.
Okay.
And he's the one who topped 16 with Nomu. Actually, I forgot his name. Jesus Christ, forgive me.
If I had to guess off the top of my head, it would be Jesse Perez.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
He inspired me much to play Nomu here in Puerto Rico, and wow, I did not expect it to carry on the torch for Nomu. But here in Puerto Rico, what we mostly are playing is Nomu, Shiroraki, Froppy, All Might, Kirishima, and most important, the number one, Batman. They're playing a lot of Batman here. Only one player plays Batman. And for those who are asking why Batman, it's the bird character from My Hero. I forgot his name.
Tokoyami 1.
Tokoyami 1, but we call it number one Batman here in Puerto Rico. But most important that I noticed, my friend Shaquille, he plays a Razorhead, the new one from the structure deck.
Okay.
And it's really interesting that he mixed like few things with it, and wow, it's really good. But here's the thing: since it's a Thanksgiving surprise, guess what? I won my locals 2 times with Pixie Bop, aka the Guinea Force from My Hero Academia.
Okay. Yeah, they kind of are, huh? They got all the poses and everything. So you guys have... We lost the video, but that's all right. I didn't think that we were going to have the video the whole time. But so you guys have the DLCs already. Has there been any issues with getting like the product out there in Puerto Rico?
No, not at all. I'm gonna be honest with you. It always arrives here first. Like set 2 was here like 3 days before the release, if I'm not mistaken. I'll check you well, but we always get the product early. As for set 1, wow, it's difficult to get it right here. But mostly a TCG player, best store ever, gets us everything. And mostly right now, when we receive the DLC for the Guinea Force, amazing. Super amazing.
Yeah, there's been a lot of positive feedback. The Wild Wild Pussycats DLC has some of my favorite designs. They're all really interesting. None of them have like the most obvious paths to victory, except maybe Mandalay, just because Staff Strike is so much fun in her. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's not the best way to play Mandalay. How long have you personally been playing My Hero, though?
Well, nobody expected Pixie Bob. Like they thought I was going to play with Nomu, and when I put that awesome manly song, dun 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 da da da, they were like, "Well, what are you playing?" So I summoned all 5 cats of them, and I was playing Pixie Bob. And I recommend everybody to play a full ally deck because it concentrates on giving a stun to your allies.
Okay, yeah,
Early
ally
game.
card's pretty strong right now.
And you can play her while she's committed. Like she has a response that when your ally hits, you discard 1 momentum and you restand her back. And I'm like, wow, wowzy. But the most important card that I do recommend is a lot of allies and allies foundations. As for the hero that can summon, I call him the Pigeon Man. He's a really good card. I'm like, he has to be good with somebody, and boom, Pixie Bob is the perfect card for him.
Okay, yeah.
Go ahead.
The whole Coda Ally package is something that I had my eye on from the beginning. I was afraid Momo was actually going to use it really well, but it seems that the Chaos decks have really taken over with it because they like to commit their own foundations and they like to get free momentum from a committed foundation, and that's all really strong.
I'm gonna be honest. My friend Javi, he's a Momo player. He always struggles with me with Nomu, and when I side deck Ochako, he didn't expect it. But when for the tournament, he was my final boss with Pixie Bob. He didn't expect Pixie Bob. He was struggling a little bit with Pixie Bob, like a little bit struggling.
Yeah, Ochako 2 has, I would say, an okay matchup, especially against, like, for me, when I played against it, I wasn't the most experienced Momo player, and the amount of foundation denial those decks typically bring with them can be pretty strong, at least in the early game, right? Like, Ochako wants to get rolling really early, and Pixie Bob, likewise, also has a soft foundation denial on her face, so making her lose those staging area pieces can be really tough to handle.
Yeah, mostly here it's a talent, but Pixie Bob, best leader ever for me. But right now, my own Pixie Bob version is full on allies. If I never whiff, thank God, with allies, but I'm gonna be honest with you, it's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, I think that her response can get pretty costly, and as much as I'd love to keep using it over and over and over again, that would be really cool. However, the biggest thing is I love that she just gets to grab a momentum, like, you know, the debuild my rival one and then just grab a momentum is super strong. If you get a chance, I would try her out with Gigantic Explosion. You know, you can effectively debuild your rival 3 foundations just by playing 2 attacks, basically.
Yeah, but how do I say this? Here in Puerto Rico, there's many how do I say this? Variations of deck.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that I can say right now. There's many variations of decks.
Yeah, it sounds like we were talking a little bit before going live, you know, and it sounds like you guys have a pretty healthy mix. You've got 5-handers at the forefront. You've got 6-handers like Shigaraki who are really good at countering Nomu, and like a lot of those high health total characters, they don't block super well, so Shigaraki gets that response off very easily. And then you also mentioned having Froppy players, which everyone in the States is super annoyed by Froppy because the character just has such a high ceiling. And you even mentioned having an Eraserhead player.
Yes. Yes, indeed. He's a great player, but mostly when he goes against me, he always either whiffs or loses.
Those two things usually go hand in hand. Eraserhead can have trouble really putting the rival on a clock, and then if they only have a couple pokes, his speed pump doesn't really matter too much if you only have to block 1 or 2 attacks per turn. So managing that health total against Nomu can be a big struggle. Has Pixie Bob been your favorite character to play so far?
Yeah.
And then you said that you've been winning like a lot of your locals with Nomu and now with Pixie Bob. Do you expect like any of the other Wild Pussycats to kind of make a huge splash in your local scene?
My locals? The only picked it up right now. People are trying out to other of the rest of the squad.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's been a good meta here in Puerto Rico.
So, how long have you guys had, like, you said you had 28 people. How long have you guys had, like, this steady local show?
We have been having 20, but mostly the tournaments are Wednesday at 5, but yeah.
Okay. And, how long, like, how many months have you guys been meeting up and playing regularly?
3 to 4.
Oh, okay. So that would have been... You guys would have started playing after Set 2 released, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then... So no one has ever gotten to play with Kirishima 1 unerrated. I guess that would be...
Yeah. For Kirishima, there's only one player.
Okay, yeah, but you said he played Kirishima 2, correct?
Correct. Then he goes with Momo one day, and the other day he goes with Kirishima. He's still searching on.
Okay. Yeah, there was... In the very beginning, in the first set, the first version of Kirishima, the 5-hand size Kirishima, was a huge menace in the format. And so they had to errata him. And I always think it's funny that, like, other places in the world who got the game at a later time, like our friends in the UK or players in the Oceanic region, stuff like that, they never got to witness the full strength of Kirishima. Or, I guess, in Puerto Rico's case, do you guys play with Amphibious or Unwavering Slash? Because I don't know when those were added to the ban list.
Here, we have a friend that he always checks the ban list and always tells us what is good to play, what can we not play around it, sort of stuff. But, but mostly we play around the ban list.
Okay. Did you guys get what I'm asking, I guess, is were you guys able to play with those cards like Frog Lashing and Amphibious before they were banned?
No. We started on set 2 where the ban list hit us.
Okay. Yeah, those were some of the like strongest interactions and strongest decks, especially if we're not accounting like just total offense. Now in set 3, one of the strongest cards is One with Nature, so you're seeing the One with Nature symbols really kind of dominate the format, but Nomu's not really the best user for One with Nature. Do you guys have anyone who's really abusing One with Nature in your local meta?
Big thing with me.
Yeah.
Big thing is abusing One with Nature.
That does sound pretty gross. She gets to They go pretty crazy with the stun and the extra block mod.
Really good. It's really super annoying.
Yeah. So, do you have any stories you want to tell us from your experiences playing the game, or maybe growing the game in your local scene?
What I mostly want before we end this, I really want to expand this here in Puerto Rico so we can have regionals here
Oh.
and people to support us. Because it will be. I do recommend here to every player that in the future we have regionals. I do recommend here in Puerto Rico. You're gonna love the island. You're gonna have a great time. Here we're super nice. We are always helping the community. If you're missing one card, we can help you with that card.
Love that.
We are willing to help.
Well, I love to hear that. That would be really cool to me, getting to go out to an exotic location, a place I've never been to, a place off the continental United States to have a card game tournament. Sounds really cool to me.
Yeah.
I wonder what it would take for Jasco to really consider it, because they have supported play in other countries like the UK and stuff like that, and so being like I forget the exact term, if it's a commonwealth or a protectorate for the United States, I wonder if it would still be included like with our region locked sort of regionals, or if you guys would kind of have your own event that was specifically for that region, for that play group, really.
What was that? ¿No estaba aquí adentro? No.
Serio?
Because they could have it so that they give a regional to Puerto Rico, but they might region lock it.
Yeah.
So that way it would be,
Really?
that way it would be like for that player base. Because one of the fears that they had for the United Kingdom was they haven't really had a chance to have their own organized play circuit. So the players in England,
Both in the deck.
they don't want to deal with players flying out from America who have had tons of experience with these cards and have had the cards longer to play with and things like that, to come and win those events when they haven't had a chance to have their own events for their own regional points and things like that.
If we get regionals, yeah, I understand the whole thing, but I hope Jasco give us regionals in the future.
Yeah, that would be cool. Obviously, the goal is to grow the game globally, and so, as long as you guys are showing up and, supporting local play and things like that, I don't see why not, as long as things continue to grow. That being said, do you guys use the UGN, the play.mha website, and, have like accounts to accrue loyalty points and things like that?
Yes, we do. We use it mostly around. I have 600 points, but I keep grinding them, so I use it a lot.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best tools that Jasco really has for player retention, because when you get to earn rewards just for showing up, and you get to recycle those packs, it really feels like everything you do in the game helps you play the game, right? You get to get those promo cards, get cards you might have missed. Maybe you didn't get to play in Season 1's provisionals, and now you have access to those cards, albeit whenever redemption happens to ship. We haven't had the best track record with that, but I still think the system overall is just a really good idea, and, possibly helps fledgling play groups like the one in Puerto Rico grow.
Yeah, but I know what you're getting at, but hopefully this goes well. But I'm really I appreciate this game. I never expected it to be a big boom. especially the anime and stuff, but it was a success, and I'm gonna keep grinding it. I'm gonna keep adding people to it. But I do recommend my best advice to everybody. The future is Pixie Bob, and today I will say it. Today is Thursday, right? Yeah. Today, no. Yes, this Thursday.
Thursday for you guys, yeah.
Yeah. I would say right now in chat, remembered my words. Pixie Bob will be the meta.
Okay. Pixie Bob will be the meta. I like that. Well, I want to thank you for jumping on here with me and talking a little bit. We're gonna boost that awareness. Hopefully, as you guys grow the scene, I do have a referral code. I just gotta plug that. If you sign up on play.mha.cardgame.com, etc. You can use the code ACE, ACE, and you'll get 50 loyalty points just for signing up, and you'll get bonus loyalty points for the first 2 events that you play in at the LGS level, and that's enough to get a free promo right off the bat.
That is amazing.
And that's
wonderful gift.
Yeah, so you can basically show the store to any of your players and tell them, look, any of these events that you missed out on because you're a new player, you can immediately get 1 copy of these promos just for signing up with the referral code, and then after you play in 2 events, you should be able to afford at least a second copy, if not more. So once again, Gene, I want to thank you so much for taking time. I know it's like super late out there in Puerto Rico.
It's only 9. That's okay.
Fair enough.
I'm a night owl. But thank you so much, Ace, for having me here. It is an honor to be part of this community, and it's an honor to everything.
Well, I'm glad that you're out there growing the game, man. We want to see the game go global, and it's because of people like you who are helping bring the game to places outside the continental U.S.
Thank you so much for having me. I want you guys, to the community, thank you so much for having me. I want you to have a great day and happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Awesome. Happy Thanksgiving to you, my friend. And you guys heard it here first. Pixie Bob is going to be the meta. Pixie Bob will be the future. If you guys give me just a moment, I'm going to see about getting Jose on as the next guest really quick. But just one more time, thank you again, Gene, for being here.
No worries.
All right.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Let me see here. Alright, I'm just going to cheat. I'm going to fix this until Jose comes in. Whoa, that's not right. Can I do this? This is the most scuffed podcast. It is what it is. Ooh, I got a freaky one for you. I'm going to freak you guys out. There, can I get this to line up? There we go. Wait. There.
Hello.
Oh no, Jose, you ruined it. I just set up a funny joke with the 2 windows. Now I have to reset them. Alright, that's fine. They'd rather see you anyway.
I exist to ruin your humor.
You don't know how true that is, actually.
Ain't it?
Alright. I think we're actually good. Alright, let me just transition this. There we go.
Where did Gene go?
Gene, well, I tried to cram a bunch of stuff into this Wednesday, so, and I think that they were actually at work, because they were driving a truck, so, I don't know.
Okay.
I felt a little morally bad about having someone talk to me while, in the car and potentially driving, but they assured me everything was safe and sound, so I took their word for it.
I mean, if that's their job, they're an expert at it. They know better than I do, anyway.
Yeah, so it was really cool. They hit me up and they were like, "Hey, we have players out here in Puerto Rico, and they wanted to like boost their local meta and kind of remind people that it's not just America that exists, right?
Yeah, I think that's sick, dude. I would love to hear about the PR meta.
Yeah. Well, we got a little bit of it. There was right now. It still seems like it's a lot of players just sort of, figuring out their style. Right? It's still very new. But he mentioned having he played No Moon was crushing it. Now he's on Pixie Bob. The Pixie Bob meta is coming in.
Very
the future.
Different characters, by the way. Very different.
Very different. Yeah. He mentioned the Batman. They got Tokoyami as Batman out in Puerto Rico, which I think is fucking awesome.
That's cool.
And then there's a Froppy player, of course, because there's always going to be a Froppy player.
I mean, she did save anime, so it makes sense that someone would be down to play her, right?
Right. So, yeah, it's very cool, and they apparently have no trouble getting product. He said that the product showed up fast. Well, you were in chat. You were here for all that.
Right,
so.
I was hearing it. That's wild, actually.
I was ready to hear him be like, "Oh, it's a struggle, but we persevere because we're fans." And he was like, "No, we get it first.
No, we get it." And it's okay. I'm thinking about it, and it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
If the issue before was that the product needed to arrive from overseas printers,
right?
It makes sense. There are no shipping ports for it to get holed up in. That is the shipping port,
right?
The part that was surprising to me is that none of the product got lost in hurricanes, because I'm pretty sure that when set 2 was when set 1 was coming out, Puerto Rico was being hit by bad storms. That's a set they couldn't get in time. That makes sense.
That's why they started only a couple months ago.
That makes sense.
It's all coming together now. I figured it was the kind of thing where on its way to being rerouted to Guam, it would stop by Puerto Rico. But I have an American education, and those two things are probably nowhere near each other.
They got It's the same direction a little bit.
Okay, as long as it's the same direction from Cody Kent to...
From Cody Kent, exactly.
to Guam.
I'm pretty sure the Puerto Rican people just have all of Cody's product.
Yes. That could be it. He's like, we play with these really cool alt arts, and it says, congrats on top 16.
Congrats on top 16. I think would be cool if we could find a way to get the PR locals over to Florida. Because it is their nearest other local, right? Technically.
Yeah, and when he was talking about getting a region out there, my first thought was unfun vacation. Just another regional for Jose Norono to crush.
No, dude, if it's in person, I ain't got it. It's known.
It's in person. Yeah, I guess that's fair. Your win percentage in person is 80%, and your win percentage in online is 95, right?
That feels right.
And the 5% is just intentional draws in the last round.
No, because I did lose to Ben Lambright.
Oh, okay.
He did lamau me.
What was Ben Lambright on?
Kirishima 2. It was a very close match.
Okay. Ben Lambright is always a joy to play for me because I enjoy when my opponent is miserable, and if he's not having any fun, he will let you know just how miserable he is.
That was very funny because he chipped a 3 once and was like, "Oh, I guess you got me," and I'm like, "Ben, I don't have it. Ben, I have 5 foundations. I don't have it."
But I can respect that, I can respect that he's down for it, and he's always playing something really clued into the meta. So I can imagine.
Or at a 9.
Yeah, he's also the person who's probably bricked the most against me in competitive play. So there's also that.
That's very sad.
Yeah, it might just be that he's the most upset about it, so it sticks with me though. I don't know.
Ooh, if I had to think, who's the person that has bricked the most against me in a competitive sense? I think it's either you or Jesse. But it's probably you, because I haven't played Jesse that much.
Well, yeah, and so I've definitely bricked a lot of kill turns, and it's weird because I feel like you'll brick the opening turn, the opening hand.
Right, yeah.
But you're also always playing five-handers, so it's hard to tell. It's always like, well, this could be a pretty good build for Kuwabara, but...
The messed up thing about Wen is that you can build 2, and you could still get 4 Wens turn 2 if you just brought the counter prick of just Wen gun, and lightning torture.
Yeah, man. It's so crazy to think about. There's so many players I've played against where I feel like they have to brick. They have to have some anomalously bad luck for me to do anything against them. And one of them is Brandon Jones, who, when we play at locals, he has to have the world's shittiest luck for me to ever beat him. And going into top 16, I was like, man, this could be a classic Brandon Jones brick moment, and it sure as fuck was not.
I hated that pairing. I hated the Vegas boys going at each other. That was so rough.
We're the only two. We're like the only two Vegas people.
What are the odds?
Ironically, the first round stream match is actually Robbie. I'm gonna say Levesque. That's not how it's pronounced, but that's the pro wrestler pronunciation. So, but Robbie used to be one of our locals. He learned to play here in Vegas, and he's moved. I want to say he's either moving to Houston or was in Houston. I'm almost certainly wrong that he's in Houston now, but because we've also had another local move to Houston, and I saw him in Dallas. So, they're moving all over the place, but. I felt so shitty that I got paired into him round 1, and he's playing Denki, which is like unironically my favorite character to play, at least that I've played competitively. And I was just like, man, I won the die roll. This is I can even lose the game. Like I can lose game 2, and I still don't feel threatened.
It's weird to get paired up against people that you know. Right? It is, and it's not always like, oh man, I don't want to beat this guy, but it's the nature of the card game where you have to beat whoever it is you're fighting. When you're playing someone that you know, it leads to some strange feelings. And I think the best echo of that is when you're like, you're happy that the other person wins, and you're happy if you win, where you're like equal. And because that is just a match that feels good, especially if the other person is like energetic, or they're like friendly with you, and you have, as long as you're both having fun. But that doesn't happen a lot of the time when you're in a nationals environment, because you're both on fuckers decks, right?
Yeah.
Like I had what is probably the best case scenario happen to me in Dallas, where I get paired up against Tim Keefe in top 16, and I'm like, I love Tim Keefe. He's playing a deck that I think is cool. I'm playing an archetype that he hates with all his life, which is repeatable -1 damage, and we're both just having fun. And I was fine with either result, because if I win, he goes to Worlds. If he wins, he goes to Worlds. We're good. We're solid.
Right.
Yeah.
I've worried about this. I think since like COVID, pretty much, or since like we did a bunch of online tournaments, I guess, where it's like, the more you get involved with the community and the more friends you make, the worse it gets, because the more likely you are to see them in top cuts, the more likely you are to see them in, elimination rounds where you can't ID, because, the first time or whatever, it's fine, but like once you're both X2, once you're both in tops, there's nothing you can do. And on like the superstitious metaphysical level, I wonder if sometimes I don't sabotage myself, because I think about that fairly often, where it's like, I worry more about getting paired now against people I don't want to get paired against than I do about bad matchups.
I see that. I will say, thankfully, our community is pretty good about understanding that in a card game, some people win and some people lose. Like my first round on Saturday was against Zach, and we had fun. He left me at 1 and died. We had fun, and like. And anytime I play you dread it, because you know what's going to happen. I'm going to start talking about bullshit. But like, I'm having fun. I think it's cool. I love playing the people that I know, because we get to have like a fun game.
Well, so a big part of it is, and this is something I tried to break out of a little bit with MHA, and I don't know if I did a particularly good job, or if it's how do I put it? The best way that I think about it is actually from the tabletop RPG for Werewolf, where you have like a vice and you have a virtue. and like the storyteller rewards you for giving into your vices, right? So like for me, my vice has always been that like I want to play decks that bully people, and you know that has its own very obvious reward, right? Like that obviously sounds like, well, duh, that's a deck that's just winning, but it's not. It's its own type where you don't get to just have this great amazing comeback. It's not a deck that's built to, you know, to win the game by stringing together like good synergies. It's a deck that wants to frustrate your opponent, deny them their things, and win because they're not operating their game plan, right? Which the only deck we've really seen in the format that does that, I think, is Mineta 2, or just card pool clogging in general, right? So with
like maybe Mina 2, maybe Shigaraki, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I could see like the way most people build Shigaraki, and I could see Toru too kind of fitting that description of like, I specifically want to fuck on your floating bonus.
But it's Mineta. It's Mineta for sure, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's just the most obvious one. And so, you know, throughout COVID era and just coming back to the game really from 2018 to 19, you know, I was kind of coasting, and I was just down to sort of try all the different decks out, try all the different styles, and I just didn't really fall into one. And maybe that's me betraying my playstyle, right? Maybe I need to just go out and find that deck that fits my playstyle rather than homie hopping to just characters that I know are solid. Oh, he's got to go deal with something, folks. I think I had him on a little early, so we'll see how it goes. I think that there's a...
Sorry, Sam.
No, you're good, man. You deal with what you got to do. It's the holidays. We got family. We got people from all kinds of time zones. We got Barry Everson, who just showed up at the exact moment you disconnected.
So, like, what you described to me is what I in my head I call a Kyle Wright deck. You know, with all the love that comes with that. Yeah, the man just wants you to be miserable, and like I can respect that playstyle. I kind of do that with all my decks that love blocking, right? That's another archetype that does that. Bromley just loves being in control of the game. Like all he wants to do is control the pace of the game. If he's killing you, he's miserable.
Well, yeah. So yeah. Bromley wants to have all of his tools. Like he wants to bring his toy box to kindergarten and just like play with all his toys in front of you. Yeah. And it's not for him to share. He's not going to ruin your toys. He's not going to kick over your blocks.
Yeah.
He's going to build just a bigger castle next to yours and let you look at it.
Yeah, Kyle just wants to take away your toys.
Right.
Instead. You know, his castle, it's not that impressive, but yours is like 2 piles of sand. That's it.
He wants to put his block on top of your castle. He's like, no, it would look better with this giant purple sticky block.
And I want to exist in like a middle ground between those two. But like as a player right now, I think I'm in a bit of a bad spot because I used to be allowed. I used to have the virtue of being able to say I'm not an aggro player. I'm not good at aggro. But I can't say that anymore without being a mega liar. And like that sucks, you know, because my favorite thing was just telling Phil, dude, I don't know how to play aggro. I don't want to do this, and then that was my perfect excuse to never play an aggro deck ever. But I can't do that no more.
That's how I feel about actual control player Barrett Bryant.
Yeah, actual. Yeah, oh yeah. Eraserhead Stan Barrett Bryant.
Yeah. Because he's always like, well, you know me, I'm a control player. And it's like all of his successes with the most donkey-dicked, you know, put my dick on the table and show it to you, like aggro deck.
Yeah. The difference is I'm wrong. You know, I think of myself as like a slow type player, and that's just not true. I just love all the different ways you can bully somebody. Barrett is just a liar, which is different. You see, I'm wrong about myself, but Barrett is a liar. Do you know what Barrett's only Yu-Gi-Oh deck is? Is Gladiator Beasts. Control my ass.
Control my ass. He was happy when Mystic Mind got banned, huh?
He doesn't even know what that does.
Oh, come on. Bullshit. We're calling bullshit on Barrett Bryant.
He does. He most likely does. But he's like... I'm sure he was happy when Mystic Mind got banned. I'm sure that he's... You know what he is? He's happy that Macro is back. Not because of any control reason, just because it makes Glad Beasts even more aggro.
Right. That's so funny. There was a point where like I wasn't seeing Mystic Mind decks like win any events, but if it was if it was winning like the big YCSs I was watching, I would have bought a Yu-Gi-Oh deck. I would have gone to events and I would have just sat there and been like, does Mystic Mind resolve? And just to see the look on people's faces.
It was funny. Before the newest best deck came out, I think the latest YCS was won by Mystic Mindburn.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Fucking... Oh, okay. Well, because there was YCS Pasadena, and there's one right after it, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about the one after it?
The one after was in Europe, I think.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Mystic Mindburn just won that.
The one I didn't watch because it was at a different time zone. Man. Yeah. So that's all it took, just like UFS. You just got to win an event and they'll ban it.
So, like, they banned it, like, 6 months after, actually.
Oh. I thought it was on the December 1st ban list.
No, not 6 months after. They banned it, like, a couple months after it stopped being good. Though YCS that it won was, like, a surprise thing. Because people were just not prepped for it, because they were prepped for the newest best deck, essentially.
It snuck in. It's counter meta. That's genius. They're punishing good deck building, people. Man, this is just like the time.
Design.
It's just like the time when they printed Scorch Wheel and then they banned Dimitri, and it's like he wasn't even relevant anymore.
No, it's like when they banned Lord Raptor and then they banned Kuwabara, and they gave the reason for banning Kuwabara being that he was keeping Lord Raptor in check.
Yeah. Now that Lord Raptor's gone, we don't need him.
We don't need it anymore.
Yeah. No. You know what Kuwabara actually kept in check? He kept From Science in check.
And you know what? only to an extent, right?
I guess when you had Protecting the Protector at full power, maybe not. But like to me, I was like, I would have loved to just run out, like, because it wasn't until the Kuwabara ban and Stowaway where you saw like a big multiple strategy win an event with Coffee Samba powered by Stowaway into big fucking multiples, and it's just because you could never rely on a big multiple strat as like a main go-to, because if any of 3 symbols are down to just side into Kuwabara.
Yeah. But when you won with Terry, Kuwabara was legal.
Yeah, that's because I had access to Big Cyclone by destroying a foundation. And like all I had to do was add Dark Chirito to my card pool.
I forgot. I forgot. I forgot.
I will contest to the day I die, the problem with that deck was never Terry Bogard or either of the asset blockers, although you should get rid of the asset blockers before you get rid of Terry.
It was Graven Castle, right? It was just Graven Castle.
Yeah, it's the Graven Castle setup with both Dark Chirito and Big Cyclone all on symbol.
Do you know what it is? It's Momo was bad until Cannon Blast came out.
Yeah, kinda. A little bit.
Yeah, because like, what does Terry do if he can't kill people? You know, but the Graven Castle is the kill people button.
Right. You saw with Chris Nixon, I want to say, right? He topped with Terry and I think at least one of them, maybe 2, but he was doing the thing that I was originally going to do, which is the Cadence Blindfold Scarlet Meteor block with everything sort of strat. And I talked to Tam Cardwell and we were like, what if we just play like a real offense with just throws? And I was like, what if we play a fake fucking offense that flips their shit with throws, and then I can be Dimitri? You know, like we originally had Surveyor on the deck list to have Spinning Pile Driver just do our best Dimitri impression. And after that first event where, surprise, I lost to Lord Raptor because I didn't get to do any of my cool enhances, I was just like, well, actually this deck functions perfectly if it's just From Science and the cards that go in the card pool and the cards that flip/deny assets. And that's it. That's all we needed.
That's all you need. I hate Cameron Cardwell. He'll steal credit for all of your wins. It's awful.
Oh, yeah. Well, so it's so weird because if he wants to say he built the deck, sure. I'm super down for, like, take credit as a deck builder. Saying that he won a Nationals, that annoys the fuck out of me.
He is mostly memeing. He is mostly memeing.
He is. But at the same time, his ego is already too big. They gave him the MVP. They should have stopped there.
They should take away the MVP if he won that national. You know, he has his invite, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good
Right,
angle.
right.
I'm gonna hit up a spear right now. We gotta. Hey, he's saying he won the national.
He doesn't get the invite, right? He doesn't need the MVP anymore.
He's saying he won the Nats.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. Speaking of orange card, blue card, how do you feel about the orange cards and the blue card?
How do I feel about playing Tokoyami? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
I hated it. I played it. There's so much wrong with like my tournament run because the one thing I was worried about was playing against my friends. I didn't play against any Kirishima 2 until it was against two of my friends in the final 2 rounds, playing for their tournament lives. Those are like the only rounds where I was really stressed at all, and it's not because it was Kirishima. It's because I knew that like they were fighting for the same thing I was. It was the fact that against Jacob Messer, he couldn't ID in the final round. He's like the only person I could have gotten paired into who could not just intentionally draw with me. And we ended up playing to an actual draw just because of how many different buttons get pressed in the matchup. And it's at the point now where I'm just so tired of doing a million things on every enhanced step. And the fact that, like, on a webcam, I'm passing back and forth. Like, I went back and I've watched my first round matchup against Robbie. And, like, it takes me, like, 4 minutes to resolve a single attack just because I'm saying pass to you. Because he has a latent skill and, like, one other potential enhance, you know? And he's got to think about specialized sound waves and stuff. And so legally I have to pass to him, and like just that little bit of back and forth, me making sure I press all my buttons. I think I punted a game because I forgot to one with nature. Like I used petty squabble and I discarded 2 cards and I went, oh, I forgot my one with nature trigger. And so I thought I did one with nature, but I didn't. I just forgot to get 1 free damage while doing the squabble anyways. And then, you know, like little stuff like that. Actually, I think I still won that game because that's the other thing I took away. Every match I made a mistake in, I won. Every game I forgot to do something, I won.
And the games where you made no mistakes, you lost?
Every game where I played my fucking heart out, I did the absolute most cranked shit. I did the most Houdini-ass mathematical shit. I fucking lost. And the only one that comes close to being like right in the middle is the one where I played against an Ojiro who plays a Crow and Frog. I'm pretty sure it's game 3. They play Crow and Frog. They check a 3. They leave like 2 foundations ready. It's Student of the Art and it's Sticky Balls. And I'm like, okay, well, if they were going to go in, they would Student of the Art and they would Sticky Balls. And they don't. So I'm like, okay, well, even if they attack me again, you know, I'm down to use one of my 2. My hand is Summon Dark Shadow, Ice Storm, Ice Storm. And I have 6 foundations in my character. And I'm like, I'm down to just breaker block the mid. I'm down to breaker block the one that counts towards progressive, like whatever the fuck. And so the next attack is Karate Chop, and he adds in a low, and he Sticky Balls. And I go to block and I check a 3, and I'm like, okay, well, after the stun 3, I can't check a 3 more. But nothing else is as nasty as Karate Chop. It'll be fine. Even a stun 2, I'll probably be able to block whatever. He plays a second Karate Chop, and I'm completely stunned out now. Now if I summon Dark Shadow, tapping my character means I cannot pass the block because of the Sticky Balls. And so I took the 6 on the face for the Crow and Frog. I took 7 from the other 2 attacks. Voila, that's 20, and my character's ready the whole time because my squabble got stunned out on the first one.
You got hit by this. This is what you got hit by.
Yeah, pretty much. So
what I learned from playing Tokoyami's defense is that you just breaker block everything they throw at you. I don't care if it's a bad opener. I don't care if it's bait. You just breaker block whatever it is. It's a chop. I have 1 card in hand. Just breaker block it.
What if it's a freezer burn?
But if it's a freezer burn, they won't play that card.
That's what I lost to in top 16. I lost a double freezer burn to irrefutable 3 foundations of mine.
That's so good.
That's so fucked up. It's so wrong, dude. Someone fix the game.
If they had a breaker low block, I would have still done it.
Yeah,
but like,
maybe.
like what I learned is a lot of the times when you and I we've played this game for a certain amount of time. You more than I have.
It's a different game though too. It's a different game than when I started.
So what I'm saying is we learned the idea of you don't block everything. When you're new, you're like, I have to block everything. I need to, like.
When I was new,
nobody touch me.
When I was new, the best players were known for blocking everything, and those were the best decks.
But then you learn a little bit, and it's like, I don't have to block everything. And then you become Philip Birch, where you're like, why would I block it if it's not lethal? And then after you're up there on the mountain, you come a little back down, and you're like, okay, so I'm not supposed to block everything, but I'm pretty sure just taking everything to the chin is also not right. So you learn how to navigate your defensive turns. And when I'm playing Tokoyami, I'm like, that doesn't matter. Just block, just break or two of any time that you can.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to end the turn in a decent amount of health. You just have to get to your turn so you can just one-shot them.
Yeah. If we were gonna be on stream, I wish my top 32 match was completely on stream, because the first game came down to he had like 5 ready foundations, and I forget the exact math, but I just remember thinking to myself, I have to breaker block this for half. He has to check a 3, which is actually a 1, and then he'll miss whatever it is on a 6. He'll have to tap everything out and miss it. And it was All Might 3, so like his character's already committed. He's got like 5 foundations and stuff. And that's exactly what happens, and I have no other business to win that game other than I sat there and I took everything on the chin, and then as soon as something was like the next one's going to be lethal, I employed the breaker block. And Tokoyami doesn't whiff backswings ever.
I wish that was true.
The amount of time, I don't know, the amount of times I did like my entire
It's certainly rare. It's certainly rare.
The entire tournament, every time I whiffed a backswing, I was able to petty squabble or frigid heat wave to draw 2 gas, like 2 exact cards I needed. A lot of times, well, maybe not a lot, but the amount of times I would once per turn Tokoyami, whiff completely, and my opponent goes, oh, okay, he left Tokoyami ready, we're probably good. And then I go frigid heat wave, draw 2 summon Dark Shadow. It was more than once, but it was fucking obnoxious because you can just tell, like, once I put down the summon Dark Shadow, they're like, oh, you just already had it, and there's nothing they could do. The game is over.
I did. I opened with frigid heat wave. I milled 5, no actions. I milled 3, no actions. I drew 2, no actions. Petty Squabble, 2, summon Dark Shadow.
Yeah, exactly.
And in a way, you're like, wow, that's really weird. How many cards did I go through? I went through 12 cards in a single attack's enhanced.
Yeah. So it's weird. It's people say that's the kind of stuff that makes him high variance. I think that makes him incredibly fucking consistent 99% of the time.
This is the opposite of high variance, actually.
Right.
In many ways, the reason Tokoyami is so strong right now is because he became more consistent. Mm-hmm. He gained 2 major consistency pieces. Petty Squabble, which is just latent skill but better, and Twisting Azure Inferno, which is your 3rd good attack.
Yes.
These are the only 2 things you really needed, right?
It's your 3rd 5-speed attack.
Yeah, the problem with Tokoyami in Team Keith's world was that as strong as his high rolls were, he wasn't consistent enough. But that you had to play fire for the latent skills. You needed to surrender yourself to some other forms of like speed and damage pumps. But in the world where you have one with nature, Petty Squabble, and Twisting Azure, you're fine. You don't need that anymore. You can open. You can draw 6. You can draw a 7-card hand of 1 Cruan Frog, and you're probably fine.
You can at least like poke really efficiently with it because people will take it 90% of the time. Not
to mention Chivalrous Competitor. Ridiculous card. Insane. Hey, we both draw one. The one you draw does not matter. The one I drew, the one I drew is either an attack or +2 your block.
Yeah, or +3 stats. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of crazy how much you're just better Deku 2 with one with nature out.
Dude, it's a rough world. The only thing Deku 2 is better at is getting the one with natures out when he checks them.
That's fair, but my very shitty hot take with Deku 2 is he's actually blank because turn 1 you don't have any foundations in your stage to, pull off the response. Unless you got like a ready, get, set, go, nut, draw kind of a turn. But then turn 2, if you're building and using the response, you're probably just going to die.
Are you not playing arrogant and overconfident?
Am I Deku 2?
Yeah. In your life, Deku 2?
No. No, I'm
You're
not.
Playing it.
I'm not playing the Tengu Man card.
You're not playing arrogant and overconfident? That's crazy, dude. That's wild.
You know what's really funny about that card? I get that card confused with like 5 other cards.
Yes, because there is the
arrogant disposition.
Arrogant disposition, and
there's a vicious card that I always think is arrogant and overconfident, and it's not that at all. It's like one word.
No. It's not a what's the Ash card called?
Oh, there's Sneering Blaze. There's Proudful, Sneer. They're all
Cunning and Prideful.
Cunning and Prideful. Yeah, that's another one.
Which is the same thing as arrogant and overconfident. By the way.
Yeah. Cunning and Prideful. Yep.
Yeah.
And there's at least 2 or 3 others. There's definitely a vicious card that I fucking get confused with.
Yes, there is. Unbridled arrogance.
I'm pretty sure it's a different one for me, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't even have to sound like it. It's crazy to me. So, to me, the biggest thing is the zero diffs. Barrett talked about it a lot, and that's what's really huge to me is I won so many games off easily excited, just pushing things slightly out of reach, or pushing it to a point where you have to commit Kirishima if you want to block this. You have to commit your actual character, and the consistency of the turn 1 build, that's really big, but also this character gets so much value off +1 speed, it is fucking insane.
Back in the day, you could get into deadlock and probably survive like a high roll Tokoyami turn if you were a really defensive deck and you held your blocks and you just had like 15 foundations. If you go to deadlock against Chaos Tokoyami now, you are not dead. You are super dead. You are the deadest man alive. I have a zero that gives all my attacks +1 speed, playable while committed. JJ went to 11 foundations on accident off of seizing. I played it in a scrimmage shock. My board was +1 speed, +1 speed, +1 speed, +1 speed, 1 with nature.
Jesus.
Two of those were easily excited. 2 of those were just basic training.
I think I think River was the only person who went to deadlock against me. They were the only person who was able to like defend any of my turns. I think they're the only person who survived any of my turns that wasn't me just checking 3s on the one card I can't check a 3 on. I checked a lot of 3s to start, but that never deterred me because I'd have to check literally only 3s for the rest of the turn, and they'd have to block 2 attacks, and that just wasn't happening. The game I lost to Brandon Jones in top 16, I played 5 attacks, 3 summon Dark Shadows, 1's a Crow and Frog. I have no Dark Shadow Ruin, so I'm playing a lethal low attack. They only had a Frozen in their hand. If I check a 5, we get a game 3, right? So there's the risk to reward. Like, the risk there was the fact that I just had a very suboptimal hand.
Yeah.
Like, my hand was Heat Wave, Crow and Frog, Heat Wave, Ice Wall, or Ice Storm, Ice Wall, So I'm literally throwing, like, the worst attacks in my fucking deck out there and still managing to be in a check 5s and win situation.
By the way, Ice Wall sucks. Ice Wall is not good. However, it's a Breaker 2 high block. That's why we play it. I love that card.
Breaker
I think
1.
It's a Breaker 1 high block. It's sick. I hate playing it. I hate attacking with it. It's so bad. It is awful.
I definitely didn't like it because it wasn't something I ever really started with. And because we have cards like Frozen and things like that, I didn't miss the stun. I found myself playing it at the end of a string a lot to stun out like your one speed hate that you didn't use yet, or to get you with the wrong zones and shit like that.
Yeah, I found that stun just didn't matter. Against the Earth symbol, a lot of the times you just don't want to stun them, and a lot of times you don't have to, because you're sending out 14 damage moves that are powered up by one with nature and other speed buffs, and it's like, I don't need to stun you. You will tap yourself out.
Yeah, it was weirdly, so this is how it went for me. A lot of times the ice wall was my kill card because I never wanted to actually throw it, and if I fuck up my turn, I have a breaker block. But it is actually the last piece of damage I need if I get that far. And
Ice Storm, crazy, insane card.
Yeah, Ice Storm.
Ice Wall, nothing.
Ice Storm fucks. Ice Wall just. Ice Wall just kind of sits outside and waits for the Uber.
Indiscriminate Shock is still insane.
I'm surprised I only ran 2 of that. I had a big mind to swap one Ice Wall for one Indiscriminate, because Indiscriminate does, and to the boards I want to stun too, Indiscriminate does a lot of that.
Yes.
And there's also, in the same way that Petty Squabble starts a lot of bullshit for you, if I have 2 shocks, which I feel like the thought from Tam was you only need 1, because if you have 1, you probably just kill them anyway. Yeah. But if you draw 2, it feels bad. But I think if you draw 2, you get to have a really ambiguous opening to your turn, and a big strength of the Tokoyami deck is that Crow and Frog that doesn't count towards progressive. It's so low investment. It's low risk. It's ambiguous, and Indiscriminate Shock can fill a lot of that same role.
You can play it at any time.
Yeah, it committing Tokoyami on your first attack that counts towards progressive is something you're gonna want to do with Petty Squabble and stuff anyway. That adds like the free second, that gets you up to the stun 2 that Ice Wall does. It plays around resistance. I actually got to totally fuck up somebody's turn by committing resistance and then stunning the It Can't Be Fixed foundations. Like, it's fucked up. And the card I committed was the basic training, which was giving me +1 speed for the rest of the turn after that. Like,
I go into the last turn against JJ, and all my Summon Dark Shadows were gone. Like, they're either somewhere in the deck where I can't reach them, or like they're
high variance. The game. It's high variance.
And I'm like, okay, so I have Crown Frog and I have Indiscriminate Shock in my hand, and it's like, sadly he's in deadlock and he's also fully tapped out because he had to try to kill me with double Pillar Swing. And I go Crow and Frog, give it a speed. I'm digging for cards. Trying to find my Summon Dark Shadow, and he goes Jiro, reveal the top 2. It's a 3 and a 5, and he's like, put the 5 on top, so you can't commit to Koyami on the next attack you play.
Joke's on him.
And I'm like, that was very smart. Indiscriminate Shock.
Like, yeah, that's how that works.
The amount of jank utility that exists within this deck is something I really enjoy. It's very Chaos Symbol. It is also just killing you. Is the thing.
Like, all of the things we've just now talked about, super awesome, very cool. If these attacks are not 11 damage stun 1 for 5 speed, right? Like, if this deck was doing all of these things with, like, I don't know, a 3 low for 6 after we pump it, maybe you gave it 1/1 and it's a 4, and I'm playing with difficulty instead of +3 to my next check. Like, this stuff would be one of the coolest pet decks of all time.
Yeah, and that's what Tokoyami was to me at the beginning of set 1, right? He was just cool. Bromley's comment about the weekend was that it was crazy seeing all the other Tokoyamis doing so really cool shit. Like, I have recovery time. I'm playing UA high, so I get
He's literally just making fun of my deck, actually.
No. Andrew Bowling was also playing recovery time, but it's like UA high, and then there's me just slamming insane attacks down for no reason.
So the reason I had recovery time is I couldn't get evil versus good in time. I do think that that's like a strictly better card. But I did think that recovery time was uniquely good for like staff strike matches because I tested a lot against Mitchell Cimino. I actually played against a staff strike Giro, I think, in the event. Someone was staff striking my ass, I forget, but the main thing is recovery time. I thought I was going to fight more Tokoyamis and more Hardened Chop decks. And I thought, yeah, this will beat Hardened Chop. This will beat Petty Squabbles because I'll get to draw extra cards and it'll be really funny. On top of that, in matchups where I want to side in more struggling with studies, I can block early for the breaker, then pick it up and respond later. So I loved all that shit because, again, it's the Chaos Symbol's doing so much cool stuff. As far as UA High goes, I think that deck 100% runs one copy of UA High. It's actually insane to me that people aren't running one copy of it.
I think the issue with UA High is that
it's so good, dude.
Okay, think about it. Think about this. Think about this. This version of Tokoyami is so gas that why would you spend a turn building UA High when you could just win?
No, so that's the thing is, it was so good for going second for me. It was insanely good for going second.
But like when you're going second, your opponent's going to try to kill you on 2 because they're scared of what you'll do to them, and then they'll overcommit, and then you just kill them on 2 yourself. You never have to like counter build. It's so rare. Yeah.
I needed UA High to save my life on more than one occasion.
Because like the card is good. The card is great, and if it's in your deck. If it's in your deck and you see it, it's going to perform. Don't get me wrong. But like, it not being in your deck might have also allowed you to just snort cocaine and slam your deck on the table.
No, dude, UA High is the cocaine. The amount of games I just won on the spot because I get to grab 2 Summon Dark Shadows in a turn made people clinically depressed.
Yeah, because I love that card. And I think post nerfs, I think Tokoyami does get to play UA High. Like, I think after they ban some things and they nerf some things, you should definitely put UA High in your deck. But until that time comes, you just have to kill them. You don't get to be cool.
I don't... it's so weird, like, especially going second with the draw card, discard a card function. Maybe I'm biased because I drew a Breaker 2 block off of that so... Like, I drew Ice Storm off of that so often. And then got to like fake review another like a Summon Dark Shadow or whatever. Like that shit was so good, man. I don't know. The only reason I could hear for not running it is if you had a deck that was like all 5 checks. Like if you had like maybe 1 copy of Release and you wanted no other 4 checks, I could be here for it. But picking up a Summon Dark Shadow on defense, picking up a +1 breaker on defense, making sure that you always have the you will always have the combination of Summon Dark Shadow and Dark Shadow Ruin, and on top of that, going back to like the people who are like, well, maybe he's not going in, he doesn't have a Summon Dark Shadow. All I have to do is check one later in the turn, and my turn gets extended. Like, it's so good. I
think it's perfect for a world where Tokoyami goes back to the I can't kill you if I don't draw Ruin. But that is just not the world we live in right now, right?
I think of it... Like, well, sorry, I was just going to say, I definitely think of it as the second Summon Dark Shadow more than I ever think of it as the Ruin, but I get what you're saying.
No, yeah, I mean, if you have the Ruin, yeah, second as DS go off, okay. But it reminds me of the greatest web article ever written. Do you love her, or does she just remind you of Shigo from Kim Possible? Is this card gas, or are you just not able to see what happens when you just go absolutely bananas on the table? And I do love the utility, and because it's a utility card, right? It improves your consistency like tenfold because it lets you just get whatever you want. Like you have the stupid card that cracks a pack. This just gets you the best card in your deck no matter what, right? That's way better. So yeah, I get what you mean.
It's very hard. Like so, the math between having 1 extra foundation and having this card to go fetch an ally card is very interesting because there were definitely games where I had one in play and I did not need it. But again, a part of that is I get an extra, like I get the second player review going first. You know, I get to review as someone who goes first. It is such a weirdly consistent card, and especially in webcam play, I only had like 2 people use the continuous ability against me. I only had like one or two people go, oh, I can draw a card and discard a card. So like,
Yep.
you don't even get to suffer the actual terrain effect half the time.
And it's your only 3-diff anyway, right?
Yeah, that was a big decision to put it in as well. As I was looking at the deck and I went, there's no 3-diffs in here. There has to be a 3-diff worth running. And, you know, the first one that pops up is actually an asset. And I was just like, this just makes so much sense. Like,
That's good. I think a world where Tokoyami is limited to running allies is like, that's the world I want to live in.
Yeah, I could see that.
You know? But like,
Just
he has no limits, you know. His kit is like, oh, you can get an ally, or if you have allies, you get speed. But the actual good parts of his kit are like, hey man, did you get a speed and a damage? Let's fucking go.
Yeah. It if you made every single part of his kit say ally, it probably fixes a little bit. I'm still afraid that he could actually be doing these same things to you with his own kit, because it's all very number centric, and now the numbers come from your stage. Like, yes, he has a 1 speed for 4 damage move, but that 1 speed is actually always going to be like 5 speed before you add in Summon Dark Shadow bonuses. You know,
The greatest realization that I have the whole weekend is that Twisting Azure Inferno is just not that good.
No, I did not like it in my... I think you 4 or 0 it, actually.
I actually enjoyed it too, decently, because I am okay with running 6 Crowan Frogs, you know? And if 2 of those Crowan Frogs are just a little worse, I'm fine with that as well. Because if you think about it, if you remove everything to its basest elements, Twisting Azure Inferno is a Crowan Frog that cannot go +1, that says that you get 1 more speed in all your moves. So it's kind of like a Summon Dark Shadow also. So in reality, what Twisting Azure Inferno is a good version of Dark Shadow Talon.
Oh, I was going to say Chariot Advance.
Yes, sure.
The one that gives +1 speed to all your shit.
Yeah, it's just a good version of Talon.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
I could see that.
Yeah, you have the high roll potential where Barrett went Pungent Judy on Tim Keefe, but he didn't have to do that. He could have just played a string of moves and done it. It was just a cool thing to do.
Yeah, he could have definitely just played like 1, maybe 2 of them, and then a Dark Shadow Ruin, and then played another Summon Dark Shadow on a 4, and
it was just a situation where doing that made it unblockable and also 15 damage, which is cool. That's fine.
And also really funny because he countered the specialist.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for me was it felt like the only time where... So, like, the early takes, at least in Vegas for Tokoyami, was he was more combo-centric. He doesn't do anything unless you draw Ruin. And Ruin doesn't do anything unless you have pretty much multiple Summon Dark Shadows. And that's how Twisting Azure Inferno felt. Like, Dark Shadow Ruin did not feel that way this tournament for me. But Twisting Azure Inferno felt like if I didn't have 2 Summon Dark Shadows, I didn't care about it. And if I couldn't play the 2 Summon Dark Shadows specifically during it, I didn't care about it. And so I would block with it. I would discard it for Petty Squabble. I think I only actually resolved 2 of them the whole day. And one time I just put all my summons in it, and that's one of the few games I lost.
Yeah.
You know?
Like to me, it was just the greatest second lead into Ruin. Like I think it's better than Ice Wall, but going Crowan Frog, Twisting Azure, Action, Ruin is like the perfect opener to a kill turn, right? Because you're presenting big damage. This one gives you utility. This one gives Ruin +2 speed, and then the Ruin is the one that's actually coming in for 14 damage.
Right.
Because I assure you, if Twisting Azure was high, completely different story. But it's not. It's a mid attack, and it weirdly matters.
Yeah, it definitely mattered because people were playing tight lip blocks and like, what's the other +1 mid block? I think it's on an attack. Either way,
Prominence Burn, Relentless Barrage.
Texas Smash. I got blocked by Texas Smash, and I was like, damn, that's fucked up.
High Engine Kick.
Yeah, I might have gotten 1 block there too, right? So like almost all my Twisting Azure Infernos actually got blocked. It was...
But the important one is Ice Storm.
right, but the one that comes next. So I could see myself running 4-0 and not caring too much, but I will say I was so happy I had UA high out when I drew it, because either A, I could draw a card and discard Twisting Azure Inferno, or I could guarantee that I would always have multiple summons. And by the end of the day, I was still not putting multiples on Twisting. I was using it to go Crow and Frog, Twisting, Dark Shadow Ruin, summon Dark Shadow, like into bigger and better stuff.
Yeah, doing multiple SDSs doesn't make sense in a world where you're going to consistently get 5 attacks.
Yeah.
It's better to just leverage your pluses to your checks.
It did like make that. For a poggers ass moment that is unfortunately lost to forever, because I thought I downloaded that game. Apparently I downloaded like the "we'll be right back" or whatever, like right after it, and like the interview and shit. So that footage is lost to forever, and I don't actually get to make a video about it.
That sucks.
Yeah, they said they'd put it on YouTube. They said they'd put the Nationals on YouTube, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. So Sam, I've gotten a lot of feedback. I've heard a lot of people say how they want to change the orange card, blue card thing. How do you feel about the bird on the rock?
Like, what would I errata?
Yeah. How do you feel about the meta that exists between these two people and Ojiro?
I actually uploaded a video that kind of, it gives like my background, I guess, a lot. It's like an hour-long rant. No one should watch it. It's useless drivel. But it talks a lot about how, for me personally, my style isn't something that's really being designed towards, and it hasn't been designed towards for like 6 years. Like, there's been multiple design teams that never want Dimitri or anything like it to ever be possible again. And the current design team, at least from what I know, like, fucking hates everything I hate, including Guardian Slasher. And so, as far as the meta goes from, like, a personal standpoint, it's my least favorite meta, like, of all time. As far as Tokoyami goes, I think the biggest issue is that we made +1s matter in the game, which is very cool. It's very cool that a +1 damage bonus matters again, because it hasn't mattered since like 2014, 2015. But now we gave everybody 12 of them. Now entire decks are based around having multiples of them stacking up and doing basically nothing else, and they get both stats. And so, as far as Tokoyami goes, I feel like he either needs to be giving stats or passing checks, not doing both. I think a huge issue with Asui is that she's giving stats and passing checks. And, like, you can have two versions of, you can have two styles of offense, but right now both of those styles are rolled into one. All the characters that pass checks really well, this includes Ojiro. Ojiro has ways to ignore progressive and recur attacks, and we saw them playing fucking Crow and Frog just to get you. We saw them playing Missouri to ramp, to mimic these other decks. And so, there needs to be some kind of divide, I think, between you can either pass 1,000,000 attacks or you can buff your attacks to 1,000,000 stats. And that's something that we used to have, that like Haymaker versus string style offense. Now the string decks are sending only fucking Haymakers.
In the time that I've been part of the game, spam has been good, but it's usually not busted, right?
It doesn't look busted until you play with it, right?
Like, there are exceptions, of course. Protecting the Protector is an insane card. But like, Mary Engage probably shouldn't exist. But there's like, you got spam. Your Zerotives are good. Wishing Word is very good. And things
Mourning
can be
the
very
Lost.
good without being. Yeah, I wasn't there, man. I wasn't there. I was kind of there the second time. I was not there when that thing came out.
Did they outright ban that for retro? I forget.
Yes, it's gone.
Okay. Bullshit, by the way. That card would have been fine. Oh, no, I got it banned with Goro. They banned it after Goro.
What do you mean? It was literally you. Anyway, I think that Stronger Darkness has to go, guys. This doesn't make any sense. This card is stupid. This card is ridiculous.
It's it lets you get away with so much. Like, I opened triple Stronger in Darkness, I think against River and top 32, and they stood no chance.
I want to ask all the people that are watching a question. Why would I play a 3-diff that I have to discard the card to give all my attacks +1 damage for the turn, when the 0-diff also does that for free?
Mm-hmm.
Why would I do this? What's wrong with you?
Well,
This was okay.
The prone to dry eyes stacking should theoretically be more relevant, but it's not.
It's not. Because prone to dry eyes, you have to discard a card every time. It's a 3-diff. If I build 3 of this turn 1, we might as well go to game 2, right?
If you don't turn to me, like if I don't build them going second, then yeah, absolutely. One of the reasons I got smoked by the Ojiro deck, why I was so greedy with my Breaker 2 blocks, is I was gonna Breaker that Crow and Frog takedown because I'm a piece of shit who doesn't want you to have any chance of having fun. I want him to fail a foundation check, right? Like, I'm down for that. Like, if you play a 2-diff and you check a 3, right?
Yeah.
So, the reason I didn't is because I opened at least double Stronger in Darkness. I think it might have been triple, but it was at least double. Because I know I did the math, because I have Summon Dark Shadow, so it's +1, +2, +3, +4. These are both 16 damage. That means if I draw one more attack and one more Summon Dark Shadow, they become 18 damage, plus the other attack being 10 damage seems very likely. So, like, the math, and this is the most math gamer I've ever been, and it fucking betrayed me, so don't ever be a math gamer. Because I'm like, okay, these are currently 7 each. If I get another Summon Dark Shadow, they're 8 each, which means the other attack I draw is going to have, like, at least +2, or at least +1 of the Summon Dark Shadow stats. And all of my attacks are 1 damage higher than that Ice Storm, which means that they'll be, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus the 2 Summon Dark Shadows, that's 10. That's 28. We kill Ojiro, because he's all tapped out. And all I had to do was Breaker block and hope I would draw a 3rd attack instead of a...
Which you probably would have, right?
Yeah, like, why would I not draw another attack as Tokoyami?
Yeah. Ain't that how it is?
It's the main reason why I just don't do math at the start of my turn. Like, it betrays you so often in this game to play for a later board state that you don't know is going to exist.
Tim Keefe certainly knows how to do it. I don't. So I leave the math to the math gamers and the vibes to me,
So that's why it's very important to, like, have some safety. Like, if you feel safe, not a lot of decks can do that, even in this current environment. Recovery Girls were not safe against me. Kirishimas were not safe against me. I beat a Momo. I beat my hardest fucking matchup in, like, round 6 or something, coming off my 2 losses, and was like, oh, now I get paired into fucking Momo? And then Momo just didn't check well, and it was fine.
Momo is honestly not... Momo is kind of easy for Tokoyami, because you basically... So, people don't know this, because we lived in our Momo meta for so long. Momo has secret text, where every time that she gets attacked, she gives the opponent your rival destroys 1 foundation. If you pressure Momo consistently, she can't kill you. She's playing with 1 foundation out. Momo cannot do anything against a deck with Petty Squabble out. She cannot. Because she goes Recipe Completed, you go, stupid, and it's like, oh, my bad. And then they die.
Yes.
Like, Momo has no answer to seizing or to Petty Squabble, and that's why she's fallen off, because her defensive playstyle depends on a strong stage, and we live in a society where, strong stage just doesn't cut it.
Yeah, I specifically won those matchups by squabbling a rescue and then sealing a rescue and then using Freezer Burn to cancel a release at one point, just all really grimy, really fucked up plays that when you think of these plays, you think, oh, that's very control, and oh, that should be the defensive deck, and it's not. Control aggro has, in my opinion, been the flavor since Momo took over. And really, the only time we didn't see a control aggro deck kind of taking over was when you won with Toga, which was built to beat Momo. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, that deck didn't really stop you from doing stuff. And Momo, not so much, except for the earliest Momo builds were all about stun. And that, in and of itself, is an aggro control mechanic.
Yeah. Like, stun preys upon decks that go in, built to and pass, right? Because you've tapped a bit of resources. The only things that are left are your good resources. They get tapped immediately, right? Stun is less good against a fully ready board, but it's still good. Still -2 resource, right? Or -1. And like, if I think about all the 3 decks that I performed really well with, it was Asui is the only one that I felt was like just entirely just insanely too good, because it did both things. You couldn't kill it, and it could kill you on 2.
Yes.
Which was the crazy part.
Yeah, it was definitely like the most, and that's why I say once Momo kind of took over, because for set 1, I think the control decks really kind of did exist. You know, we saw Earth, Apathetic Kirishima did really well early on because he gets to flip that stuff. But we also saw the Void Kirishima deck that Broberg played beat out all the other Kirishimas because he gets to end your enhance step. He got to first E to tell you can't use this card. He got to change the
his
zones.
Offense was better.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
His offense was more controlling, you know, and his defense was just as potent.
Yeah, his offense got there eventually with tape swings and throws, where Kirishima just had to like actually hit you, which was a lot harder against tape, right?
Yeah. Against tape, and he was playing the fastest attacks. Like, he was playing the kick package, which everyone's like, I'm down to play these slow reverse throw, these punch lineups where I discard a bunch of shit because I have extra cards. And this is the Void deck was like, no, I'm going to draw a bunch of cards. I'm going to get extra cards, and they're all going to be faster than whatever because I just need these to hit you for 4, and I'll see you next turn.
Yeah, and like, Momo existed during set 1, but she wasn't good because she couldn't kill anybody.
Right.
That was literally the only problem. You can live all you want. You cannot win the game, though. That's why Staff Strike Momo was always a meme, because you could string out the sickest 4 damage moves of all time, but like, what is that going to accomplish?
Yeah, we saw poor Nate DeWalt, you know, do some of the coolest Staff Strike turns of all time, and then it's like, well, here's like a speed reset.
Yeah, like, I miss the good old days where Momo had a 0-10 matchup against Kamui Woods, because at the end of your string, when I'm fully tapped out, you're sending in 2 damage moves. I mean, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, and you know, without the Jiro stats, the Momo decks doing Staff Strike, they don't get overwhelming numbers ever. It's always pretty much for printed damage, especially in set 1, you know, before floating him around my babies. But you know, it's weird to me because there is still no really truly grindy decks, I feel. Even the Momo decks, their biggest strength, and Kevin Broberg will be the first to tell you this, is she puts together amazing strings. You know, her earliest kill condition was actually probably Home Run Comet, and that was based on the fact that she did strings really well and put down 2 speed after stunning you out. And you know, even Mineta 2, even when I see Mineta 2 win games, it's usually off the back of drawing 3 attacks at once, and like 2 of them are tongue whips. You know, it's still off of like, we're gonna have to play 2 or 3 attacks and jump on the stage and synergize with all of them. And so I think it'd be really cool to see like a nice throw archetype come out, but we've shown in the past that if you can survive that many turns reliably, you're probably set up for the ban list faster than a fucking Tokoyami deck.
Yeah, Jasco hates strong control pieces. They just do. They've always done, and they always will.
I think it's because it's easier to stalemate in this game, I think, or at least feel like there's a stalemate. And it's because of all the inherent risk. Like, at some point in Magic, the 2 blue decks are going to count their decks, and somebody has to act first, and your hand size will become your economy as fast as your mana does, and like how many copies you have of stuff. That's just not as true in this game.
Yep.
You know, you go.
Yeah. I do think that there's a bigger issue with the idea of a really good throw archetype, and it's that they will always prey on seven-handers more than they prey on any control deck, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's just the way the world works. Throw decks are so interesting to me because they are okay against six-handers, insane versus seven-handers, and they cannot be five-handers ever.
That's super interesting because it just, you know, the historical decks I'm thinking of, like, the decks that were the best at beating throw decks in 2015 were seven-handers because they could get enough resources out and, like, get on the ball. And Shield Ram came out, and check 5, take lives was kind of a thing where you just kind of roll.
I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah.
We're talking about different throw decks. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, but you're right. By the time we hit, like, Kotal Khan, you know, by the time we hit the post-Bebop era, you know, there's so much throw hate because people can just pile twice your health onto throws pretty easily. And yeah, seven-handers are the ones that actually get nuked from orbit by just not drawing their throw hate.
I guess what I was thinking about is, like, what does a throw deck do against Clark? Nothing, right?
Clark is the throw deck.
Exactly. What is a throw deck? I mean, Clark. I'm sure Clark had normal moves. No, it was just head crush and throws, wasn't it?
It was head crush, Clark Buster. I think he played Super Argentine. Like, there's different versions for sure. Yeah. The main thing is he needed to actually stun you out too. He actually, if you wanted to do the Clark Buster gimmick, you couldn't just not have ways to commit their board. But it's, you know, I always wanted to do the Dimitri into Clark matchup, but it was always paired away from me in teams, and I just never fought one. And I don't think I ever actually played Dimitri in singles because I was very, very important to me to play different decks. And Dimitri's one of the few decks I repeated and regretted doing so. So I never got to really see that matchup, but it's the kind of thing where you're both sending like 7 to 8 damage throws at each other, but one of you is blocking them, and the other is using their stage to reduce that damage. And Dimitri specifically is going to flip your damage reduction, right? So it's one of those things where in my lifetime, typically the slow, grindy throw deck beats anything. You know, there's a tier, I guess. There's like a hierarchy of slow deck, and the five-handers that are really fast shit on throw decks because they have all that health to win that race.
Yeah. When it comes to Dimitri and things like that, I think the reason why they don't last very long is that...
Well, Dimitri didn't last specifically because they designed to fucking stop that style of play.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is that he's annoying, right?
Yes.
You agree with this? He's annoying.
His level of control is a little too blanket. They made that mistake twice.
We build a deck. We build decks with these cool foundations that do these cool things, and then it's like, you don't have that. Get out of here. Fuck off. And like Dimitri had like 3 degrees of you don't have that. He had the pull manipulation, he had the target flip, and he had whatever other bullshit he was doing with revoke, right?
He could revoke stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so like I think the reason why defensive decks with really strong defensive pieces tend to get fanned is because they're just annoying. Shogun Prince, I love that card. It's annoying. Things like that. And
annoying is subjective. Motherfuckers playing Twisting Azure Inferno is annoying.
So like, and what I mean annoying is...
Hey, you know who gets to play the game? The guy who lets you see all your flipped face-down foundations on turn 5. You know who doesn't let you play the game? The motherfucker who killed you 15 minutes ago.
That's the dichotomy. Because people feel more frustrated against control than they do against aggro. And that's nonsense to me, right? Like,
you're controlling the pace.
When a Tokoyami kills you on 2, you're like, you feel like you shouldn't be mad because, that's how aggro works. When you're stuck 12 turns against a deck that doesn't let you any of your cool pieces, you feel upset. And maybe part of it is a time investment. Maybe part of it is that you were given enough time to try to get out and you couldn't. You just didn't draw the out, and I don't. But these are like the same situation you were put in a position where your choices didn't matter. I think one of them just gave you the illusion of choice, and the other one meant to kill you.
Yeah, one has the decency to be over with so you can go get a taco.
Yeah, and that's silly, but it's how the human brain operates. I think the exceptions are especially like egregious levels of control, which is like Jeddah, things like Jeddah, things like Terry 1, but no, seriously, like something like Jeddah or Mineta if you draw all attacks in turn 2, things where you're like, there was nothing I could have done here.
It's tough because you have to cater to both player bases, but like a big part of control is supposed to be that they have like a weak early game. And the way that you give a deck a weak early game in this game, in my opinion, is you make control-based attacks low checks. You make control-based foundations low checks, like a 4 check. And so theoretically, this is just like my personal design philosophy. Obviously, there's other ways to fix this, right? This is something that I'm sure someone from the design team will listen to later and say, well, that's stupid. But, the idea should be that the control deck wants to play like maybe 4 really strong pieces, and they don't necessarily need that 5 build because they have a card like a Swordfish, which is a 3/4. They have a card that cancels something on an R-commit that they can repeatedly use and use that to get to later turns. Whereas Tokoyami wants to build 6 because he needs the volume, because aggro decks know that they get guaranteed damage if they can throw more attacks and you have blocks and things like that. So.
And that all makes sense. But, oh no, we printed target flip and +2 speed and seal your mech face off on aggro symbols. I guess the 3/4 that doesn't do anything anymore. I guess we messed up.
Yeah. The other thing is that there's nothing like the way control checks work is having those 4s in your deck doesn't actually stop the control deck from only building 3 or 4 powerful foundations. You can build the powerful 2/4 fulfilled my duty, and you can build stronger in darkness. That's the beauty of the game.
Yeah, but think about this problem. Okay, so you're a defensive 7-hander and you're paired up against Earth Ojiro. To not die turn 2, you need to draw a face shield in your open hand, build enough, hope they didn't draw either Seizing or One with Nature, and then not check a 3. If any of these happen, you're just dead turn 2.
Yeah, and they have to also not be the water Ojiro that plays Freezer Burn against me.
Right, so it's like it.
Like that's
why would I not just play the deck that I know if I go first I can probably kill you, instead of playing the deck that is like I need 4 things to go right before I'm allowed to get to my turn 2.
Right,
and the messed up thing is that the deck that kills you if it goes turn 1 has 11 breaker blocks in it.
Yeah, it's tough. There's so many times where it's like, this is a really powerful... Like, how many times have you heard someone say, oh, well, they killed me through X, X, and X? Like, 3 different answers, so to speak. And it's like, how many answers do you need to feel good? Because killing someone through double breaker block and learning the standards... I don't think it should theoretically be impossible. Yeah. It just should never be possible turn 2.
Yeah, you would need like a big stage to do that.
And right now, and even in standard, there's multiple ways to just say, okay, well, I have an answer for the learning the standards. I can play around the breaker 2. If you're Tokoyami specifically, they have to wait until you don't have a Summon Dark Shadow for their breaker 2 to really matter. Or at least like so late in the turn for it to matter, because if I check a 4 on my 3 and I'm playing this on a 5 difficulty after a fucking Crow and Frog Dark Shadow Ruin, like, it doesn't matter. So the balancing act is super tough, because on the other hand, if it's a consistent piece that you see multiple turns or it's on your character or whatever, people are going to drop that hand and go, I can never, ever, ever do anything. I never get to win, So that's why we've seen all the defensive pieces have flip costs. Unless it's speed hate, they pretty much all have a flip cost, or they all remove themselves. They're all one-time use abilities. And I think that's a good middle ground, but especially when they reduce my resource count, it makes them incredibly difficult to use turn 2, which turn 2 is... That's been the derisive turn since 2016, 2017.
Yeah. Like, you just got to see your own turn 2. And a lot of the times, if you see your own turn 2, you're good. But it's getting there. That's the problem.
Yeah. I wish that more offenses were based on scaling. Like, I wish that there was more... I really wish that there was a bigger emphasis on momentum and, like, not tutoring momentum. You know, if, like, most attacks had EX or powerful and the game was based around, like, hitting with, like, 3 to 4 damage moves and picking and choosing where you spend momentum, I think you could see the same style of explosive plays, but at the same time, it would almost never be set up for you, like, on turn 2, because I'd say the average format for UFS that I've played in wants nothing to do with momentum unless you're getting it for scot-free.
Or your Snake Man, I guess.
He got it for very free.
How do you print momentum?
Well, for one, if you have no momentum, you literally just put one from your hand into momentum.
Oh, right.
He takes one first and then puts one into momentum. I had a teammate...
How does he Murakumo you with no momentum?
So here's how Murakumo works. I played on this team. My teammate was the Snake Man. And then when I had a Snake Man on my team who was not Daniel Schussler, they lost to Daniel Schussler in the final round because they would not play the same symbol as him. And it lacked one specific card, which is called Kyo's Jacket. So Snake Man plays any low attack, hits you with it, gets a momentum, uses Kyo's Jacket to get a second momentum and commit your foundation that stops multiples or whatever fucks with his turn, and then he plays Murakumo probably in desperation. That also gets you a momentum, in case you were wondering. And
Wait,
then,
it does?
Yes, Murakumo response on play gives you a momentum.
Oh.
You add an attack from your discard pile to your momentum. So
you put electric jolt in. You put static discharge in there, flip it, get a momentum.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. Like there's all kinds of shit you could do. So like for Snake Man and then of course with 3 multiple copies and 1 previous Snake Man in hands, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The last one is for 7 damage. 7 plus 6 is 13, plus 5 is 18, plus 4 is 22. Plus, the first attack was probably 5 damage. That's 27 damage just from those attacks, right?
And it's still less damage than a normal Tokoyami one turn. What the hell are we doing?
Yeah, and that's still way more interactable and way less potentially lethal than most of the shit in My Hero Academia.
Dude, if Snake Man had Stronger in Darkness, dude, he would have got a mega band, right?
He would have had to find a way to commit himself, I guess.
Doesn't his form do that?
No, that's Surveyor.
Oh, no, he just does it?
He doesn't commit ever.
Oh, it's just an OPT.
Yeah, you have to keep using his enhance to get the stacking damage.
Right.
So, but I'm surprised they haven't brought back a stacking damage enhance like that. The closest thing is probably All Might 2, I guess.
You have, I think some of our, Kamui.
Kamui's close, yeah. Kamui's actually it. No, you're right.
Close.
Kamui's it, actually.
Yeah, Kamui is kind of him.
Kamui's 100% it. It stacks in the same exact way. It's just not free, like they have to block, which is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like that was one of the coolest, most consistent combos, but that still wasn't like an auto win deck. It was far from uninteractable. I once watched that deck lose to a Terry Bogard reversal because it kicks the highest damage multiple copy and actually gives it +2 damage because even though it's not printed, it still has a control value, which caused him to have to block a lethal attack. They had to call a judge because Miles Tyler was like, this gets +2 damage, right? And he's like, no, it doesn't have a control. And the judge is like, actually, it does.
What Terry reversal is this?
Terry 1, just playing any reversal.
Oh, that is just what Terry does. Okay,
Yeah,
I thought you were like...
No, Terry just pitches it from the card pool and gets damage equal to the control. So, like, I had to watch him lose a game at a PTC over shit like that. So, like, you know, what was it? I think, what was the standard event where I think it was a Takeda reversal while someone had 8 million cards in their card pool? Was that, am I crazy?
Was this online or in person?
I think it was on TTS. I'm pretty sure
that was me.
Yeah. Were you playing Takeda?
That was me. No. You have the story wrong.
Oh.
I'm playing my cool water moves, and Zach blocks and reversals SRK. And he copies Windmill Punch. So he has gotten momentum before. He's Takeda, so he stacks burst time, copies burst time, gets 3 momentum, multiple threes me off of the SRK, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm about to die because these moves are going to kill me.
They're
but I block. I cut man. I block his SRK. I reversal him during my turn with a precise blow. He has 8 cards in his card pool because of the multiple 3. I combo precise blow, make it low, creepy, cut man. It is now for 20.
And he just doesn't have the
low. He is dead. He can't block it. He has 8 cards in pool. This is a 3 low.
Oh man, it's effectively like a 9 low for 20. And he
no, it's an 11 low because it got 2 speed from Slisalika.
Oh, you're the reason that's banned. That's right.
Yes, I am. It was me.
Which sucks because, by the way, for anyone who wants to play Bakugo 1 plus Slisalika was so fucking tight.
It was insane, actually.
You get plus 2 speed and plus 2 damage, and you get a free momentum, which his symbols are super hungry for.
Yeah, Air Bakugo used to be tight.
Yeah.
It is not anymore because Slisalika is gone because that card was broken.
I still think it's like one of the less offensive from the standard level, but it's
for sure. They just couldn't let me be that powerful,
It's certainly free as fuck though.
The problem with Slisalika is that it just prints momentum at the wrong time, right?
Yeah.
It lets you do bodyguard, get a momentum bodyguard extremely quickly. It just lets you get it. It's just built.
It's a one diff.
It's built in a way that's fucked up.
Yeah, it being a one diff definitely makes it way too good. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a huge fan of that card. I wish it could come back as like a 2 diff or maybe even.
Yeah, I love Slisalika. To no one's surprise, I adore that card.
Yeah, maybe hit the second ability with like a twice per turn, although I hate twice per turn. Once per turn, I'm cool with. For some reason, twice per turn seems like lazy design.
Yeah, it's hard to track. It's not good. I don't like it.
Like, they used to have cards that say if this is the second time you've played this ability, commit this card.
Yeah.
Which is, like, more elegant and more fair, but also annoying to track. I just think that anything that says twice per turn is just fucking super lazy. Just make it commit. Just make it slightly better and make it a commit cost. Like, I don't know.
Hi, Andy.
Well, because there's so many things where they're like, okay, well, if you make it all really powerful once per turns, the game devolves into who can cancel the once per turn. But if you make you make them semi-powerful twice per turns, the game just becomes, okay, how many times can I like how much can I string together after I set up my 2 per turn abilities?
My favorite twice per turn is Tim Keefe's response.
The one that had to be errated to be twice per turn?
The one that had to be errated to be twice per turn.
Yeah, which still too good, but at least it's not the degenerate chaos bullshit that it started with, because if you're unironically playing Genbu Boulder Barrage turn 1 at me, something is fucking wrong.
Something's wrong, or your name is Jacob Masur. Those are the only 2 options.
Yeah, something's fucked up. Brett Hillman pulled that out at our locals once too. He was like, okay, I'm going to play over the top, and if I don't check a 1 here or on this next attack, I think I win. And I was like, okay, bro. And then he plays Boulder Barrage Genbu, and I'm probably playing like a 719 as well. And I was like, huh, okay, well, I guess I'll try to do this in hand. And he's like, no, I'm going to seal that. I was like, okay. Actually, Boulder Barrage Genbu's Flash, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That one's actually too fast in Flash for turn 1, but you know, it all the shit that comes after it is too good. Phil Birch used that character to turn 1 me 2 games in a row after the errata. So they just decided to print cards on Chaos that leave the card pool.
Things could be worse, my hero players. Things can always be worse.
I still felt like I had more agency in that game than I did playing Tokoyami.
All right, bye-bye. Bye-bye.
No, I'm just saying. I could have breaker blocked correctly. That was another matchup similar to the Ojiro one, though, where it's
I didn't deep scar his opening Crow and Frog and I lost. I can't believe that's how that went. Fuck.
I mean, well, so against Phil, I breaker 2'd where he could play... the problem was he was playing Hunt for Spiders and Dragons. So he was able to basically seizing the advantage me turn 1. So when I hit the breaker 2 block, he plays another Hunt for Spiders. It commits the first one, and we're good to go with +2 to our check to ignore all of our progressive again. So, then he plays the stupid Santa Claus card that, leaves the card pool. So then he can play another one, and, it was fucked up, man.
By the way, learning the standards is so bad.
Yes.
Learning the standards is such a bad card. It doesn't help you against it maybe buys you a turn against Tokoyami because they're like, man, I don't have the answer for that yet. But they can bait you into using it. Or they just draw Crow Frog and you're dead, right?
I want you to use it because you're taking my full fucking damage.
Right?
okay.
And against Earth, Fire, and Air decks, it's like you have to play a non-attack now. Seizing. Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, it used to be go for the win. Now it's seizing the advantage.
When I played against Ojiro at Dallas, I hit him with a big move, and I went learning standards, and I went ready, get set, go. What are you gonna do?
I'm glad actions are good. I like action cards, but at the same time, that card could have easily said Foundation. I think if you let people block and then respond with learning the standards, it's nowhere near as bad. But it still doesn't save you. It just makes it lower risk.
But it is an annoying card, right?
Yeah. It shuts down JJ's Momo deck, apparently. He got all of his assets flipped.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, yeah. It has a second mode. But, no one plays Raiden in aggro meta.
Right?
Because you do your thing and then you die.
Right.
So, it's clearly not enough.
There's so many things that you could do to learning the standards is a card that should save you one turn. Yeah. It is positioned to be a card that doesn't fuck up your opponent's board or deny them anything. It just makes them play a different card and should add progressive difficulty to the rest of their turn. But now they printed Mandalay, and she's fucking immune to that card. Which
is neat. That's a cool thing. That's a neat thing.
I guess. They printed a Foundation, I believe, that doesn't count towards progressive to play attacks for anybody. So, those symbols now have an insanely powerful tool to just go over the top,
Did they do that?
I'm pretty sure her 1 diff that, responds for a damage or something, or maybe it's a 2 diff. I thought it did, but I could be wrong. I thought it didn't count.
I don't think that's exactly what it...
Either way, if you were already prepared to beat Mineta 2 decks, which most decks should be prepared to do, then you are prepared to play around learning the standards once per game.
Alright, let's figure this out.
You got the DLC right there?
You got the cat noodles here.
Yeah, Mandalay's...
No, it's just after you play this card, the next attack district gets +1 or -1.
Okay, I thought she had one that had it where it itself, like a one-man
Yeah.
wolf pack, didn't count.
Yeah, no.
I'm
I
waiting
think
for
there's
that.
there's not a reborn human yet.
Okay, fair enough. But I'm waiting for that design to come out. It's pretty much inevitable. You know, they have already showed that they want to do gray card, orange card, gray card, orange card style stuff. So
Yeah. The Flexor Might does that.
yeah, flex your might. Yep, it's specifically only to play attacks, right?
Yep.
So it's a first form though, right? So you can't use it
it's a
around
first
learning, which
Yeah.
is interesting. But yeah, there's just so many things where it's. I think a lot of the defensive tools are insanely good against very average turns, like below average, maybe like a little
Breaker.
bit.
Like Breaker.
Like if I just have a very like normal, like I have 3 attacks and none of them are going to kill you, and you know they don't block particularly well, but they all do stuff I want to do when I'm attacking. Like if your hand is like jab, chop, frenzy, for example, a breaker might deter you because you're not going to kill your opponent if you pass all these checks. But if your hand is like jab, Texas, Missouri, karate chop, you know, you're going to jam all those fucking cards through nearly any style of defense, and you'll have an answer for pretty much everything on the board.
If your hand is jab, 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 there's nothing in this universe that can stop you, right?
You should legally be allowed to show your rival that you have all 4 jabs and then win.
Yeah, it's like Exodia, you know, all 4 pieces.
Yeah. Apparently, I think Chris Smith had 3 jabs and we thought he had the 4th, but it was an uppercut. If it was a jab, he would have won.
I'm so sad that I never played 4 alleyways.
Never, not once.
No, I never played 4. There was a time where I had it. It just died before I could. Because if I could hit, I'm sad that I never played 4 alleyways. That I'm sad that I didn't find the 4th tongue whip during the stream match. Because I could have. I almost did. I need you to know, Sam. The only reason you're still alive is because I did Toga response at the wrong time.
Oh.
Because you said that if I played the 4th tongue, you would just jump out the window.
I would backflip out my window, yeah. I'm still waiting for an actual...
Earlier in that turn, I did Toga, drew a discarded one, made a check, it was tongue whip. I could have done it.
Yeah, I think we commented on that too. I think we pointed that out because we're like, oh, the 4th one's in the discard. But funny enough, the only time I've ever played all 4 back alleys is when I started by playing 2 of them and then playing some cards and then playing the other 2. And it was just like, this is how bad my hand is. But that was death, where I'm just trying to brute strength everything to lethal. So,
how do you feel about Crowan Frog, Sam?
You know, every time I think the card's really good, the Froppy players in my life tell me it's total shit and they don't even run it. So, I think the card is super good, and I think the fact that you see other decks run it just for its non-prog proves that there's something wrong with it, but only from like a design standpoint and like a mentality standpoint, not necessarily from a power level standpoint.
I'm going to give you context for the white, because I'm one of the people that told you this card is bad in Froppy.
Yeah, no, I
was one of them. That was true during set 1. Frog Cake was better. It fulfilled a similar job, but the high block was really necessary. Things that weren't readying just weren't that important. This card, the more commit effects come out, becomes more fucked up.
I thought that Exhausted Exclamation was going to make water decks run it, but Brandon Jones said Freezer Burn just does the work. You know, he doesn't need it.
I think Brandon Jones should have played this and Freezer Burn.
So I know he tested with it. We definitely played with it, but he was drawing it late in a string too often, and he's like, I don't want to play this on a 6. I don't want to play this on a 7.
Yeah,
and
yeah. But like,
it
you're
seemed
not.
like
You aren't. It's a secret furtive.
well, that's what I'm saying. Is like he's like, if I draw it later in turns, it just doesn't feel good, and so.
But if you ever open 2 of them on a man, they're dead. they're gone.
I was gonna say. I was going to say the two major things I like about Crow and Frog is it makes your openers ambiguous into Faith Shield, which, Freezer Burn is also immune to Faith Shield, but you usually have to blow up a ready foundation, so fuck that.
Yeah.
But his answer, when I talked to him about that, he's like, oh, I just put 2 speed on the Freezer Burn, and then if they block it, they fucking die anyway, because they just blocked on like a 9. So, I think the card is nuts. I think both modes are nuts. I think it's really strong in Asui too, but I can definitely see cases for not running it. However, we're still running Giant Ice Wall, so it's kind of like, what exactly are we looking for? We're looking for breaker blocks.
It's certainly better in Tokoyami.
Yes.
Mostly because Asui doesn't have a petty squabble.
Well, and because Asui her pay squabble, I guess, is like rescue completed or something, but her the main thing is she never has difficulty. All of her shit's on a 5. She never plays something late on an 8. She never she's
not pumping this full of lead. She's just making it too faster, right?
Yeah.
It's not a non-proc for 9.
And it's usually just a 4 high for 6 if you prone it.
Yeah,
and you probably won't prone it if you're just trying to be ambiguous, which, I've seen so many people lose because they go, oh, he didn't pump the Crow and Frog. There's no follow-up, and they just block it. And it's like, actually, those 3 cards I drew were not me fishing.
Yeah. I think we just needed to just ban Crow and Frog. Straight up.
I'm down for that, but that certainly doesn't fix everything.
It doesn't fix everything. You need to do more things in addition. You do.
Yeah.
I think you need to ban Crow and Frog.
Yeah. I definitely think that, the main thing holding back Asui, and, this applies to my friend Brandon as well, is, we talked about it. He's like, I don't know what to play. I'll probably play Asui. I'm like, well, yeah, it's the deck you have the most experience on, and if you just draw attacks, you just win, right? And that was his sentiment too. And with Exhausted Exclamation out now, I can totally see running Crow and Frog and maybe boarding in Ice Walls for super late game or where you need the breakers and shit. But it feels like it should make the deck a million times more consistent. It does all the same things Freezer Burn does, just at a slightly higher opportunity cost up front.
Yeah, because Freezer Burn's a 3 diff. This is a 4 diff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It plays a little worse into breaker, right? It's just, I don't know. It's a sick card. It does everything that is wrong with the format, which is giving you more foundations than you started with. And I mean, here's the main thing. It will confine later versions of Asui and Tokoyami design forever. Why
does Tokoyami 2 suck? Because he has to play around this card.
Yeah. It's going to be the kind of thing where all your Tokoyamis in the future that commit for something are going to beg for Crow and Frog to be relevant, and then all your Asuis in the future probably won't function while committed or do anything while committed, so they don't actually have any interaction with this card.
Yeah, Asui 3 is going to come out, and it's just going to be Inaccurus. And it's well, what the fuck is this? Well, we have to play around Crow and Frog. We can't let her commits be good.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where Asui 2 has absolutely nothing to do with Crow and Frog, and yet you still play it because it's 4 diff 4/5. It readies your creepy realizations, which is actually how you kill people in that deck.
Yeah.
So
my dream Tokoyami ban list is this.
Crow and Frog and Stronger.
And Stronger.
What if they put once per turn on Stronger to make it more similar to basic training and easily excited?
You could do that. You could certainly do that too. You could also move the commit your character on SDS.
To the cost?
To the cost, as long as you also ban Crow and Frog.
Yes. Yeah. Someone suggested that, and they were like, that way you can only do it once per turn, and I was like, bro, I ready my character half the time.
Which is why I'm priming with this.
Yes.
I think, above all else, surrounding all the hits, this has to go.
You got any more band suggestions? It looked like you were digging.
I don't know how you stop Ojiro, but I don't think she'd be allowed to do what he does. Hiroshima should probably either be a once per turn or just destroy ready cards.
So,
you think should be a first form?
Yeah. So, when it comes to I have elegant, tiny little fixes for these.
Tiny little fixes.
Yes, tiny little fixes. So, for Ojiro, or at least I have a tiny fix for Ojiro. Make the pickup enhance a first E. That way you can't do Student of the Art on the same attack you're going to do it. That way you can't get your full bonuses.
I got you, dude. Make it a commit.
Make him commit?
Make it a commit.
That's what I said. If it was old school UFS where you'd say, okay, well, I have to give up my massive fucking donkey dick stats for a whole attack, yes. Like, I'm so down for that. But that would make people drop him almost completely unless you're picking up Karate Chop, I think.
Good. Fuck him.
Yeah, good. Fuck that deck.
Yeah.
I think that you can make...
Sorry. Yeah.
What?
I was going to say, just grab Elec Man, just put it on top of him. We're good.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Tokoyami's once per turn, I think that you could make it so that he can only pick up a Summon Dark Shadow that he mills. But you could make it not once per... Well, no, that would be too good. I was thinking make it like really hard to pick one up, but that's only because I milled one half the time during the event.
I think that his once per turn is fine, legitimately.
Yeah.
The issue is what he's getting, not how he gets it.
Yeah, right? That's fair. And then the only thing I hate about the Summon Dark Shadow being changed to the commit character cost is I like to play Summon Dark Shadow in other decks a lot, and that would kill a lot of those decks. I like to play it in Dinky 1. Like, if I play Chaos, like I commit my character after the once per game. That shit's funny.
Yeah, just don't tap him until you play Summon Dark Shadow, you know?
Well, no, but I'm saying, like, I like to tap him to pay cost. Right. And then I'm effectively losing, like Midnight loses her E-commit if she wants to now play Summon Dark Shadow, which is, one of her cuter plays, I would say. But
like every time I play this and my dude's tapped, I feel like I'm cheating.
Yeah. I think making Summon Dark Shadow only apply its bonus to attacks that say Dark Shadow in the name is a decent way to do it.
Bro, just say ally. It's so much simpler.
Well,
just say ally.
Putting it on only ally attacks is better overall, but I think that also confines your design space. Like, if you're confined to just Tokoyami attacks, like, that's okay, because they're supposed to synergize in some way most of the time. Putting on ally attacks makes me think they're going to fuck it up again. Because the ally package is already fucking crazy good. It's already good, and it's been one set. There's one set of ally support, actually.
And there's the new one coming out.
Yeah, like, I'm not 100% sure that just having it apply only to allies is realistically the way to go. But it is better than just saying Dark Shadow in the name, because I think that design is fucking stupid Yu-Gi-Oh shit anyway.
I don't like it in Kirishima, so...
Yeah, I didn't like it with Hardened. I didn't like it with Yusuke. I thought it was like... I think it's cheap design.
Whoa.
Yeah, I didn't like it in Yusuke.
Whoa. I was agreeing with you so hard, and then you said some dumb shit.
Come on, bro. Remove a spirit card from your discard pile.
It should have been remove a card with the shares all your symbols, but they probably thought that removing a 1-diff for -2 damage was too good.
Maybe, but... I don't know.
He's spending his spirit energy, Sam.
I get that. In the first arc, he only has 5 charges or something, so that's cute.
The only part that's silly is why he has 2 separate my card gimmicks. That's the only part that's weird.
I'm with you. They could have condensed it to just cards that share 3 symbols.
Also, the fact that none of the Kuwabara spirit cards are good in him.
That's also true.
My favorite thing about Yusuke is Guardian of the Spirit Sword. That's my favorite part.
Guardian of the Spirit Sword is one of my favorite cards overall.
Yeah, but like you can just remove it for -2 damage because it just happens to have spirit in it.
Yeah, it just happens. And spiritual doesn't count, right? It has to be exactly spirit.
Exactly spirit.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that, but I think you could fix it that way. I definitely think Crone Frog should go because it does literally the two things that you shouldn't do in this game, like, practically ever. Like, I don't know. Enhances should commit. They should just commit. You should, like, I think, I don't know if it was you I was talking to about this, where when people learn the game, you can watch multiple YouTube videos out there of people just, especially like pre-COVID or like early COVID, people getting the My Hero Academia starter decks and stuff like that. Like they get the demo decks pre-COVID, they get the starter decks, and when the game first drops, and they're learning the game where it's two people have never played, read the rulebook and unbox and do it. The most common complaint is people going, how do I know I used this card already?
Yeah.
You know? They'll go through, because they're learning, it takes them like 10 minutes to do one single enhanced step, and they're like, okay, so I guess I can keep doing stuff as long as you keep doing stuff. And it's like, no, it's as long as, you know, only one person passes. So they like think that if they pass, they can stop their opponent from doing things. The next most common thing is once they've started going back and forth, they're like, oh, did I use Bakugo? Or, oh, can I do, like, luckily the starter decks are very low on shit like that, but like self-sacrifice fucking annihilates brand new players because they're like,
Dude,
oh,
self-stack annihilates mid-level players.
yeah, because they're just like, I've seen it where they're like, I'll just destroy 3 ready foundations to give this +3 damage, so it's 8 whole damage, and I'm just like cringing. It's so painful, and it's like, you know, that it's not bad design for where we're at, don't get me wrong, but like I feel like the game would have been better if this whole time all of these cards were just committing.
I'm actually here to cancel Pippa. Pippa sent me a message the other day where she was like, man, I think thrice per turns would be cool, and I think we should cancel her for that. I think she should get canceled.
Pippa's been doing the podcast rounds too. Pippa was on
Yeah.
Universus Academy because they had that hype game on stream where they checked a 2 versus Kirishima.
Yeah, she was in Universus Academy. She was in Levi's channel, and I just cannot see a war criminal like this just making the rounds scot free. You know,
It's a damn shame. So you heard it here first. Hashtag cancel Pippa.
I cancel Pippa.
Thrice per turn, absolutely stupid. Twice per turn, lazy as fuck. Once per turn,
still dumb.
Once per turn, also stupid because you could just make it an e-commit if you weren't a fucking pussy.
I remember when I reached this stage of Universus, he was like, "Why do once per turns exist?"
Especially if you're willing to fucking put playable while committed on like regularly half the characters that commit.
I'm sure once I saw a character that had a once per turn and a commit, and I died.
There's definitely at least one, yes. Usually, it's an R commit. There's definitely an R commit that's like that. It's so fucking funny, dude. It's not the absolute worst angle of design, but it's really weird.
It's up there for sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of all the
Oh
ones.
no, I found the worst one. I found the worst one.
Is it no? Is it Talum 2? She has a once
No.
she has an F commit, and I think she has a once per turn, right?
No.
She has an E commit and a once per turn.
Yeah, she has a recommit and a once per turn.
Yeah.
But I found the worst one.
What's the worst one?
Song of Mina 2 has a twice per turn and a form commit,
And the form, at least she's not playable while committed.
which means that she's bad.
Yes, which means she's like a gauge accessory to your
Yeah.
Songmina 1 deck. And that's the risk you run is like you can make really cool stuff. Like Spike 2 has an E commit and a twice per turn,
Yeah.
but his twice per turn allows him to use one of his cards to ready himself. So his
Yeah.
E commit can be twice per turn or 3 times per turn or however many times you can keep using M3C Devastator. Please don't ask me how many times I've tried to make that work. But Like, you can do really cool stuff with that design space that you cannot with once per turns. And when they did do that with once per turns, they've always made them like the weirdest fucking 2 checks, which feel really shoehorned when it comes down to it. Like, it feels really fucking weird to me that both Joint Effort Offensive and Rando's Spirit Gun are like, here's this really cool ability you get once per turn. Well, because you don't commit for it, we'll just say you can use it a second time. Whereas if blanket all your shit was like E-commits, you could just make it ready the character and then, like, I don't know, maybe it's better to limit it to only twice, because I don't think Rando's Spirit Gun lets you play it a third time.
Yeah, it's twice. It's just another time.
Yeah. But it would just be way cooler.
Yeah, you want to know my favorite thing about M3C?
Is that it's a weapon?
I have been allowed to be delighted in seeing multiple people try to break M3C in Ochako 1. And it makes me so happy because it just doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Ever. But it doesn't work in a way that is beautiful because it has the exact wrong timing for anything she wants to do.
Yeah, what the fuck? Why are people trying to do this?
Because they read a charge a high attack that says ready character and they go,
what? Yeah.
But you cannot time this right. There's no way to do it. It's like someone looked at M3C and they looked at Ochako and were like, I got this, guys.
You know who actually breaks M3C? West Wind Combo. It's actually West Wind Combo. I've done this deck so much, and I will tell you right now, the best way to actually play this combo is to commit your character so the timing is so fucking weird. You commit your character to play M3C.
Yeah.
And you're Talon 1, so it probably doesn't matter. And if you're Talon 1, you're just going to lose anyway, but it's a funny deck.
You should just be Venture Maker. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, and then you play West Wind Combo. When it adds the card to the momentum, it readies your character, but then you check for Reki Meki. And you need to check a 6, so you check a 5, you commit your character, then you get to draw a card. That's the best you can do with this combo. I'm telling you, it's the fucking ceiling for this combo. It doesn't... Anything else you're trying to do is like a retro combo that's banned. Like, it... like, it's amazing to me. I did not play more Grant Padley with M3C and fucking...
Westman?
No. What's the... I mean, that was in the deck. What's the action that's fucked up? This Superior Technique, yeah.
Yeah, Super Tech.
That is actually one of the most bonkers fucking decks I've ever played, and I guarantee
I saw it.
If my mental state, like, I made so many mistakes even in the matches I was winning with that, like, I guarantee that if A, I didn't get paired into fucking Lord Raptor and top cuts every time, and B, if I was just in a better mental state, I'm pretty sure I actually win that event, because that deck was fucked up, and I lost in top cuts to Church, who won the event, due to a deck list error.
The hardest part of that deck was knowing what your 7th card actually was. I'm pretty sure, right? Because that deck would hit you with Prism Storm, make it a 21 high for 11.
It gets +4/+4 to a Prism Storm.
Yeah. So it's like an 18 high 11.
Yeah. The thing about that deck is it, like, you have so much selection because of cards like Playboy, and you have so much that you can go through. Like, playing 7 cards was insanely easy because of the way that Superior Technique ends up at the top of your discard pile,
and you just get to Playboy it. Yeah,
and you just get to pick it up. So you get to play an attack, you get to probably ready any foundations because we're the air symbol, you get to give this attack massive stats. And then, if it's an M3C, you soup tech it and ready your character. If
also,
it's not,
Grant Padley looks at the top 3 and discards the rest and picks one up.
Yeah, and so if you find more than one card you like, you just Playboy it. If you need to extend your turn and keep clearing your card pool, you soup tech, you pick up soup tech. And eventually you will hit the cards that ready your character, because in that format there's also Zealot Rush. Zealot Rush allows you to play enhances again, just not responses, and also draws a card and free builds. It's an insane card. And so that deck had so many cool things happening.
The worse the art is, the stronger the champ asset is.
Yeah,
We know this.
It's the same thing in Will It Kill. If it's in 420p, it's fucking dead. It's max damage.
Unless it's Melty Blood, in which case they can't die.
Well, that's because every Melty Blood combo comes with spamming 2A. If they just didn't spam 2A, they would actually kill people. Man, I saw that post earlier on Facebook about like what IPs people would want, and I'm at the point where I really don't care. I am so not drawn to the actual IPs because I guess, I don't know, if it's one I'm really familiar with, it could be super flavorful, but like I'm just so much of a mechanics guy, and like I just never get to see the mechanics I want.
I bet you liked MVCI, you monster. You function gamer.
MVC is actually one of the few series I never really got into.
Oh, okay.
I went hard on MVC2 for like a summer back before I really knew fighting games. Back when I was like I had just learned that you can do the launcher by pressing AA with people, like 1-1, whatever it is in that game, and like recognizing how to super jump and stuff. And like all my friends except the one person who's better than me just quit playing fighting games that summer. So,
well, I hope they gave you the designs that you want. I hope they let you be as suffocating and as much of a bully as you want to be. I hope that you get to add things to your card pool and flip things.
I just want the game to scale, which sounds really stupid because I hate the way most games scale, which is 1 energy per turn, 1 resource per turn. I would love to see more scaling-based effects. I think if you had scaling-based effects as a standard for your game, you wouldn't need deadlock because things would scale through deadlock, right? Through later games. I think it would also prevent you from doing like Todoroki 1 design, which encourages you to have a fat deck for literally no fucking reason other than you get more damage. Same thing with Endeavor. Like, you just have a goofy-ass, really big deck where I need to if I want to have a better damage pump, you know? You should be rewarded for building foundations, not punished for it. That's fucking stupid, right? So, it's the kind of thing where if there was no deadlock, games would draw to a more natural, quicker conclusion because people wouldn't have to pussyfoot around 10 foundations where they poke, destroy one so I can build the face-up, pass. Like, if you eliminate that whole style of play, I think I could just be fine with playing decks like Toga where I'm just trying to get over that turn 2 hump and then build a million foundations. Like,
yeah.
The vast majority of my match losses in regional events is because I'm in a position where neither player can, like, do anything except build through deadlock or play 1 attack, have it be blocked and pass. And that whole fucking setup is why you end up with stuff like One with Nature, because you have to design stuff to kill shit way sooner than that, and then guess what? You can One with Nature on turn 2. You don't have to wait till they're at 10 foundations. So like this card, so like cards that are built to stop your opponent from defending at large foundation counts only matters if they're at 11 plus or are too good and work on turn 2 anyways. There's just so little balance.
Yeah, if I can be honest, I'm not entirely sure why One with Nature does what it does.
I don't either.
You look at Woodman, it's like, I guess he has a card to his hand.
But why would he want to discard it? Like, I don't get that at all. I had a friend who was convinced, and a bunch of people were convinced Woodman was the second coming of Maxima, and was going to break the game. And instead, Woodman was fucking ass.
He got second at a Nationals.
Fucking ass.
He got second at a Nationals, I think.
You'd have to show me. It must have been when the 1 year I quit the game is the 1 year where a bunch of dumbass shit started winning events. So,
I believe it lost to some bebop shit.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That would be right when I quit the game. I find it so hard to believe that Woodman would do that well, but at the same time,
No. From what I understand, it's purely because our buddy Ryan is cracked.
Wait, which Ryan?
Up.
There's so many Ryans.
He's a Florida player. I forget his last name. It's
Who did he lose to at Nationals?
It might have been Asimov and Katerina.
No, they didn't. They lost to Barrett. Asimov and Katerina lost to Cassie Cage, which was an all-Omaha
This is Bebop release. This is release of Bebop.
Huh?
This is release of Bebop.
Yeah. So
Cassie Cage just doesn't exist.
So this would have been okay.
Yeah.
Then it would have had to be. Maybe Tim Keefe beat Asimov and Katerina, and I'm capping.
I'll have to ask him.
If Bear Bryant beat a Woodman with Cassie, no, you said it was pre-MK.
Yeah.
I don't know. Either way, that character was also supposed to be like super scary Maxima, but it wasn't. That was Kirishima. They say like if Woodman's lack of being broken is what allowed Kirishima 1 to be printed. That's my new hot take.
That's your new hot take?
Tim Freely went, wow, I fucking love Woodman. He's such a swell guy. It's so cool to watch my friend Daniel Schusler try to break this character that is completely inoffensive and doesn't actually do anything at all except get like +1 to a check a single time. And then they said, you know what? We want to see this in Grand Finals. We want to see 4 of it in Grand Finals, actually.
I'm only against this because I refuse any universe where something happens because of Woodman and it's not my fault.
There was entire years of Woodman without you, dude.
No, because
you just mentioned your buddy got second with Woodman at a Nationals.
I am Woodman. Anytime he is, I am also there.
Man, we've talked about so much in this podcast now.
Oh man,
Can you believe we've been at this for 2 hours?
No.
Time certainly flies, especially when you're having fun, my friend. But it is the night before Thanksgiving. I have to go get some stuff prepped for tomorrow. We're making a big fancy macaroni and cheese. That's my job.
That's hype.
Yeah. I hope I don't fuck it up because it's been a while since I've made like a nice like oven cooked casserole mac and cheese. Normally I'm just whipping it up in the kitchen like a wrapper. So
I hope you had fun.
You know, I hope so too. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I hope you have a good Thanksgiving, Sam. Because despite what everyone says, I do like you.
Why do you always say that? You always do that, despite what other people say behind your back.
In this case, I'm saying despite what other people might say about me and you. You know, I do care for you, Sam.
Well, I appreciate that. If you go check out the video I just uploaded to YouTube, it discusses just how thankful I am for the entire UVS community. But I want to thank.
That is the thing I do want to address very quickly. When you said I don't really care what IP happens next. I also don't really care what IP happens next because what I've fallen in love with is the community and the game, right? Mm-hmm. So I think
they could print cringe-ass My Little Pony cards and my dumbass would still be there in a suit going, well, he's going to turn Fluttershy sideways and Pinky Sparkle on his ass.
We could be the Ruby card game and I would still be down.
Yeah, so... Alright, man. I want to thank you for joining me, Jose. I want to thank everyone in the chat who is here, everyone who's watching this on YouTube. I'm going to give you this opportunity, Jose. Is there any shout-outs that you want to give out?
I've shouted out so many people, you know. I shout out Brumley every time. I shout out my Legos every time. I just want to shout out you. That's it. That's my shout out. That's all I'm doing.
Thank you, man. Well, congratulations on winning yet another webcam event. Congratulations on qualifying, twofold, threefold for Worlds at this point. And yeah, man, I can't wait to see you in Vegas.
Hell yeah, man. Oh yeah. We get to go get some food. Let's go.
Yeah, it'll be like no matter what, at the very least, even if I don't get involved in Worlds in an official sense, I know I'll at least get to hang out with people since I'm already here in Vegas. So that's at least some condolence.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's do it. I'll steal some of Chris's Smith's decks and we'll play Versus System. It's fine.
Ooh, let's go. That's actually what we need to do. We need to plan for like the day before, right? Like everything the day before. Go hang out, get the food, go back to the room, and play like a bunch of dead card games.
Hell yeah.
I'll bring Warlord CCG.
Like UFS.
Yes, like UFS. All right, man. I've had an absolute blast. We're going to wrap this up here. Hopefully you guys like, share, subscribe on the YouTube channel. I don't know what exactly my schedule is going to be like next week because the last couple weeks we've been doing this on Wednesday, but hopefully we'll be returning to the regular Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. And if you guys don't already know, I do have the sub goal to cosplay for Present Mike set up there for the stream. Hopefully I'm going to be streaming a little bit more regularly. And I do have plans to stream the EU and the Oceanic Nationals. I'm talking to Jasco to make sure I get that set up so I get like roles and I can get in there and have an overlay and hopefully give some commentary and some exposure to the events that are happening overseas. But that's going to do it for me. I'm Sam Tate. This is your Pro Hero National Champion, Jose Norono. We will see you guys next time. Peace.
I'm not real. Don't forget. Still not.